I would like to call the Prince William County School Board meeting to order. We will start today with an invocation given by Pastor Charles Lundy of Ebenezer Baptist Church at the request of Miss Jessie of the Occoquan District.
As a sign of unity, I'm going to ask that each member would just turn and say good evening to those on their right and on their left. Amen. That's how we do it in church. Amen. Our Father and our God, we're thankful for this opportunity. We pray that you would bless us, oh God, in our time of gathering in this public meeting. Pray that your spirit would rest, rule, and abide on each of these school board members, on these concerned citizens, and all things that may transpire tonight. That your spirit will continue to rest, rule, and abide with each of us, oh God. Bless every home represented as we consider the fate of our children, our youth, our young people, oh God. For it is our sincere desire that you would empower us, bless us, favor us with creating in them lifelong learners and give them the ability to become critical thinkers as we move deeper and deeper into this third century. We pray you to bless, keep, and deliver all things, for we ask them in Jesus' name, and for his sake we say amen.
Thank you, Pastor Lundy. Now, if we could ask the show choir from Parkside Middle School to come up front and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And then after the pledge, if you could all, I know what school you go to, but your grade and your name. Thank you.
Please help us honor our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you don't mind, one more round of applause. Next, we're moving on to a special presentation. For this, I'll throw it down to Mr. Wilk from the Potomac District.
Hey, good evening. Recently, our school system was honored by having 2 of our high school choirs selected to perform at the Virginia Music Educator Association. Singers from Battlefield's Men Chorus, as highlighted by Ms. Satterwhite's great board doc brief video. And Forest Park's High School Concert Choir performed for the Music at the Teachers Conference. Tonight, we will hear a few selections from a small section of the 90-voice Forest Park Concert Choir. I thought since we are so close to the Christmas season, this would be a nice little beginning. The choir is directed by the lovely Ms. Laura Britton.
Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is his song, ring joyfully, long caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling the tale. Gaily they ring while people sing, song of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, that is his song, ring joyfully, long caroling. Dawn without end, they joyful tones to every home. Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing a cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is their song, ding joyful ring, dawn caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling their tales. Gaily they ring while people sing, song of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding that is the song, ding joyful ring, dawn caroling. Dawn on this end, dawn without end, ding joyful tones to every home. Dawn on this end, dawn without end, bear joyful tone to every home. Ding dong, ding dong.
Thank you very much. It is our distinct pleasure to be here. It is our distinct pleasure to be here today, and we're representing the 90 students as well as the Battlefield students. And we are so grateful to the board for their support of the arts. We also extend our thanks to Dr. Waltz for his support, Dr. Ed Stevenson, and our fabulous principal, Mr. Martinez. We are next going to present a small portion from our VMEA performance. It's a very short selection. It's in Latin, and the words are ubi caritas. And the entire focus of our VMEA presentation was community with a capital U. Because we couldn't do it without each other. We couldn't do it without each and every one of you. And so we present this, and our first soloist will be Dylan Longo, who was chosen as the #1 tenor in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Ubi caritas et amor Deus ibi est. Ubi caritas et amor Deus ibi est. Ubi caritas et amor Deus ibi est. Congregavit for Christmas. I don't think Santa Claus will mind, do you? You don't have to use a dirty chimney flue. Just bring him through the front door, that's the easy thing to do. I can see me now on Christmas morning, creeping down the stairs. Oh, what joy and what surprise when I open up my eyes and see a hippo hero standing there.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only a hippopotamus for hippopotamus. No crocodiles, no rhinoceroses. I like hippopotamuses. And hippopotamuses like me too. Mom says the hippo will eat me up, but then Miss Brenton says the hippo is a vegetarian. There's lots of room for him in our two-car garage. I'll feed him there and wash him there and give him his massage.
I can see me now on Christmas morning, creeping down the stairs. Oh, what joy and what surprise when I open up my eyes and see a hippo hero standing there.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. No crocodiles, no rhinoceroses. I like hippopotamuses. And hippopotamuses like me too.
Me too.
All right, we'll move right along here. Thank you very much, and one more time for the Forest Park High School Choir. All right, I'll make the motion. We're moving on to 11.01. The motion that the Prince William County School Board approve the public meeting agenda as recommended. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Williams.
I'd like to second.
Ms. Williams seconds. Discussion. Mr. Brand.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we amend the public agenda to take action on changing Friday, January 20th, 2017 from a regular school day in Prince William County Schools to a day off for all staff and honor the inauguration of the 45th President of the United States of America.
I have to type all that in, so I'm gonna have to get it. If you don't mind. Yeah, if you don't mind. Can I just type it straight from this? Sure. Okay.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Isn't it already on item 17.03?
It is not actually. That work was done ahead of time, and it'll be put on assuming this passes. Miss Urban saved some time and put it on a little ahead of time. That's all. It's a placeholder. Yeah, because we emailed about it. I think I got it exactly right, Mr. Brand, but maybe a typo or two. There's one I see already. Change Friday, January 20th, 2017 from a regular school day in Prince William County Schools to a day off for all staff in honor of the inauguration of the 45th President of the United States of America. Is that accurate, Mr. Brand?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Brand. And do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Ms. Satterwhite, thank you. I would like to make everyone aware, because Mr. Brand and I talked about this briefly, I want to make sure everyone's aware of the rules. So when we add an agenda item from the floor, essentially, as we're doing now, the way it works by policy is to make it onto the agenda, period, to make it on the agenda, it has to be a majority vote, and then to make it on for action, since it hasn't been on before, it has to be a unanimous vote by policy. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of the rules when we add from the dais like this, is that a majority vote adds it on for information, and a unanimous vote adds it on for action. Just want to make sure everybody's clear. So it's your motion, Mr. Brand, so speak to it if you'd like.
Well, I guess I'm a little tongue-tied to start off, but I have received some communication from staff, from parents. I think an inauguration is an important event in America. I myself actually have attended a couple in the past and found it to be a rewarding experience. I know it's not for everyone in terms of dealing with DC on Inauguration Day is a challenge, especially in the middle of, or near the end of January. But I do know we have a lot of families and we have a lot of parents out there that may consider attending the inauguration. And even if they do not, I think it's important for us as a board to give those in the communities ample notice to kind of prepare for it, an additional day off. We have a lot of two working parents in Prince William County. And when it comes to that, they need to prepare in advance. So if there's already a day off that week in terms of the 16th with Martin Luther King Day. So that's an additional day off in 1 week. So I think it's very important just for our families to give them plenty of notice. And that's why I'm hoping that we will add this for action now so we can make a decision on it and give our Prince William County families plenty of notice that is a day off if it does pass.
Thank you, Mr. Brand. Any further discussion? Those in favor of adding this item to the agenda, please signify yes by raising your right hand. Make sure I get this right. Looks like it's unanimous. Is that correct? Okay. I got to click another button.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous. Motion passed.
Okay, we're now back to the main motion. Those in favor of the main motion, please signify yes by raising your right hand. Thank you.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous. Motion passed.
Thank you. Ms. Urban, do you need to add that to the agenda? Yes. We'll have to have a brief pause so that gets officially added to the agenda, and then when Ms. Urban tells us to, we all will hit F5 or pay the consequences for Ms. Urban. All right, we're moving right along to item 12.01, which is adoption of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Williams.
I move that the Prince William County School Board approve the public meeting consent agenda as recommended.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Ralston.
I second.
Thank you. Discussion. Those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify yes by raising your right hand. Thank you.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous. Motion passed.
All right, we're moving right along to citizens' time. I believe we'll be able to get through everybody who signed up ahead of time and at the door. I think there's roughly 10 speakers in all. So I'm going to call everybody up at first so everyone kind of knows their order. If you want to come over to this first front row or closer, or if you're going to get up in time, that is fine as well. So the order of speakers would be Riley O'Casey, Bill Petrak, Bob Weir, Steve Bender, Mark Raffa, Chris Park, Richard Jesse, Barbara Larimore, Andrea Delavon, and Delegate Richard Anderson. So that'll be the order. I would like to point out, because Delegate Anderson and I were joking, I did offer for him to come up and speak first, but he refused. So I just wanted to make sure, Delegate Anderson, just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. I appreciate your kindness. Ms. O'Casey, I'll go over the rules, not that you don't know them, but we need to make sure that we do this right here. Everyone will receive about 3 minutes. Everyone will receive 3 minutes to speak. I will keep the time. It will be put on the monitors above my head. When it turns yellow, that means 30 seconds. You need to wrap it up. When it turns red, it means your time is up. Proper decorum will be used at all times. If not, you will be asked to step aside. Ms. O'Casey, you've heard that way too many times, so I'm sorry that you had to hear it one more time.
Okay.
But our first speaker is Ms. Riley O'Casey.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Sawyers, board members, Dr. Waltz. My name is Riley O'Casey, and my address is on file. In 2012, the school board increased the teacher workday by 30 minutes with no input from those who would be impacted. The consequences of that decision were immense and led to a lack of trust of the school board from employees. In an effort to ensure that teachers who had earned sick leave based on a 7-hour day could still have the same number of sick leave days for their use, the superintendent recommended that an extra half hour be given to them for every 7 hours they earned. In May of 2016, the majority of this board voted to decrease the teacher workday by 30 minutes. And while this action raised the morale of employees, there was very little discussion on the financial impact or the challenges for planning and student supervision. A 30-minute shorter workday does not increase a teacher's responsibilities and workload. At the January 6th school board meeting, this statement was made by a board member. Repealing the 30-minute contractual extension will have no financial impact on this division. At the May 18th school board meeting, when asked, the superintendent clearly expressed his concerns with this board over the issue of readjusted leave. Now, we are here tonight with so many unanswered questions and a lack of understanding about this process. Board members, I respectfully request that you delay a vote on the readjusted sick leave until every person impacted truly understands the ramifications of this change. Allow the questions and concerns to be thoughtfully answered and addressed. However, if you choose to vote tonight, the unintended consequences of making this decision will hurt your employees. I ask that you remember that some decisions can never be taken back. The consequences of those decisions undermine your credibility and the trust we should have in our school board to do what's best for the employees and students of Prince William County Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Casey. Our next speaker is Mr. Bill Petrak. Bill?
Hi, Bill Petrak, Woodbridge. I'm here tonight to talk about more politicization of the school board. A few weeks ago, you folks voted to allow only the chairman at large and the vice chair to approve agenda items. You were told at that time that that would give the power to only 2 people and possibly silence the rest of the board members. You said that wouldn't happen. And here we are a month later, and you've effectively silenced tens of thousands of parents in the county. Mr. Sawyers, and now Miss Jessie, you have totally and unmistakably politicized the education in this county. We have children in trailers all over the county, and you two have single-handedly turned down nearly $22 million that would help alleviate this situation. Mr. Sawyers, calling people liars on your Facebook page is unbecoming of the chairman at large. And it's another reason for people to sign the petition to recall you. www.recallsawyers.com. Just because you're either confused on the issues or you have the facts wrong doesn't make people liars. 5 months ago, I didn't even know who you were. And I volunteered on this movement to collect signatures to remove you from office. Once again, www.recallsawyers.com. And for the record, I've met some people that are working on this. We're not politicians. We're just parents that are concerned about education. There are people on both sides of the aisle on this movement, and we don't talk about politics. The only unifying factor is removing you from office. So please stop telling people this is a Republican hit job, unless, of course, you want to add Democrats and independents. For the people in the room and the people on television, and you watch the internet, there is money that the supervisors of the county have allocated. Will they write a check tomorrow? No, but they'll put it in the budget next year. And for you to sit here and turn down and not even consider taking the $22 million or discussing it is outrageous. People in this county are fed up, and they're tired of the politics on the board, and it gets worse every day, and you're not impressing anybody. And Mr. Sawyers, I'll tell you, a very famous person once said, if you want to know the character of a person, you give that person power. And you are starting to really make yourself look bad in the county. www.recallsawyers.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Petrak. Our next speaker is Bob Weir. Mr. Weir.
Good evening, Bob Weir, Haymarket. Members of the board, congratulations. Your actions have compelled me to speak for the second time this quarter. That equals the number of times I felt so compelled in all of the prior decade. I put one child all the way through Prince William County Schools, and I've got two more children, a boy and a girl, still in Prince William County Schools. It's remarkable that I have to come here tonight and assert the same thing to you as I do to those bickering siblings. Enough is enough. Stop acting like the petulant children you oversee and start acting like adults. If Supervisors Candlin and Principe can work together, surely you're capable of the same effort. As I suggested 2 months ago, it's time to put aside your personal and partisan agendas and tend to the real business of the school board, the needs of the children you purport to educate. The voters, and more importantly, the students demand and deserve no less. To that end, the first law of holes is that if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. The Board of County Supervisors has thrown you a $20 million life preserver, and several of you have unceremoniously thrown it back because it's the wrong color. Chairman Sawyers, I'd suggest that if you're going to don your barrister's hat and continue taking to social media, making legal arguments based on your interpretation of legal precedent, you first take a few law school courses. It goes without saying that your application of the Board of Supervisors of Chesterfield County, v. the County School Board of Chesterfield County, is simplistic and misstated. Given your past missteps, I shouldn't have to remind you that it is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. Ms. Jessie, you've once again raised the bar for hypocrisy and inflammatory statements. Your quotes on Inside Nova speak for themselves. Again, I should not have to remind you that as a school board member, you are responsible for the needs of all children in the division, not simply those you choose to focus upon. I ask you, where was your lack of concern for high school students when you supported the construction of Colgan High School in the wrong place and with all of the expensive bells and whistles? Pardon me, I forgot. That support was to enable your babies to access swimming lessons. That being said, 2 months ago, I noted that although I seldom agree with Ms. Jessie, I found it unconscionable that she was forced to defer education-based agenda items as a result of the three-ring circus orchestrated by the chair. Unfortunately, things have not improved, as the chair has continued playing his reindeer games with the agenda, depriving his peers on the school board the ability to address their perceived needs of the community, something they're charged with. As I previously noted, the school board has turned the school division into the laughingstock of not simply Northern Virginia, but the entirety of the Commonwealth. I suspect I speak for a majority when I suggest that if several of you are incapable of fulfilling the roles to which you are elected and exercising proper oversight and administrative review, then it is time to tender your resignations and allow those with the true interest of the students to serve.
Thank you, Mr.
There's
Weir.
the door.
Next speaker is Mr. Steve Bender. Mr. Bender.
Dr. Waltz, members of the board, Chairman at Large Sawyers. I'm speaking about the recent resolution by the Board of County Supervisors, and I'm appalled at the public reaction of some members of this board. This fall, for a while, I thought things were getting better. We actually got to see you address some real educational issues, but the insanity has returned and with a vengeance. Chairman-at-Large Sawyers, your list of failings continues to grow, but I only have time tonight for the agenda. I learned earlier this evening that members have had multiple items rejected from the agenda by you and Ms. Williams, Ms. Jessie. Ms. Williams assured her fellow board members when we discussed that issue that a member could always go to the superintendent to add an item. It was clear to me that night, at least, that the flaw in that logic was the superintendent is a smart and savvy man. Of course he is, he's from Kansas. There's no way he's going to put an item on the agenda at the risk of losing his job. But he is also an honorable man, and I learned tonight that he did approach you. He did attempt to put the resolution on the agenda, and he was denied. When the price model was voted on in June, it was a 4-4 vote, and it died because 2 members felt the need that their district's requirements for elementary seats were more important, and they wanted the extra funds to go to their elementary schools. The county board thought it was important enough to try yet again to get price passed. But when Mr. Canland, oft disparaged by the chairman-at-large of this board, was asked to consider schools farthest away from his district, he pulled his original proposal, worked with his political opponents, and came up with a bipartisan amended proposal that addressed the concerns of both sides, doubling the amount originally suggested to meet needs at both ends of the county. Chairman-at-Large Sawyers, you hide behind the argument that it is illegal for the Board of County Supervisors to tell the division how to spend its money. Well, they can't earmark their appropriation and say you will use it for this. That's true. But they can certainly offer to fund additional programs when the school board first asks them to. They are conceding your point that they can't earmark. They're saying that they'll do it, but you have to ask first. They can give you funds for a specific purpose when you make the first move and ask for the additional funding for the extra seats. They are simply pledging in advance to honor that request, so you know the money's coming. Chairman-at-Large Sawyers, you have earned their distrust with your disingenuous and disreputable actions. The post on your Facebook page made it clear that you can't be trusted when you said, give us the money and we'll use it where we think best. It's not going to the extra seats. Anyone who has watched you this year, Mr. Chairman-at-Large, recognizes that means you have no intention of adding the seats where they are desperately needed and will instead use those funds for whatever issue pops up on your partisan radar. What the county board is asking you to do is to ask first in the best interest of the students, something that has rarely been done this year. Instead, you are playing at partisan politics from the seat of a nonpartisan office. It's time for you either to knock it off or get out of the chair. I'm reminded of the line from classic Weather.
Thank you, Mr. Bender.
We don't want that kind in these parts.
Thank you, Mr. Bender. Our next speaker is Mark Raffa. Mark?
Hi, my name is Mark Raffa. My address is on file with the clerk. Members of the board, I'm here tonight to discuss overcrowding in the public schools. When it comes to overcrowding, the Board of County Supervisors have heard the voices of the voters, and they have recently passed a resolution that would provide an additional $21 million to the schools that could be used to alleviate overcrowding. This additional funding that the Board of County Supervisors has passed is over the amount that is legally required of them to provide to the schools. This is not an issue of legality. There is $21 million on the table to add necessary seats to a new high school and ease overcrowding across the county. This is not the school board's money. This is not the county supervisor's money. This is the taxpayers' money. And we have seen what this school board has done when it's up to its own to spend money. They have used it on discretionary expenditures and pet projects, while unmet critical needs of this county school system go unfunded. The proposed resolution provides some relief to alleviate overcrowding. These board meetings are referred to as business meetings. I don't know why a request to add a discussion item to the meeting agenda would be denied, especially when the item in question is referring to adding $21 million to the budget. It is time this school board exerted the leadership and willingness to work with the county supervisors and become good stewards of the taxpayers' funds. It's time to have an open discussion on to alleviate the overcrowding in our schools. There are numerous studies available addressing overcrowding and student achievement. These studies report that overcrowded school students scored significantly lower on both math and reading exams than students in underutilized schools. But it's not only the students who suffer. Additional studies found that overcrowding and heavy teacher workloads create stressful working conditions for teachers and lead to higher teacher absenteeism and health issues. During the last board meeting, Ms. Jessie discussed the overcrowding in elementary schools on the east side of the county forces second graders, 7-year-old boys and girls, to go outside to use the restroom. I urge this board to exert some leadership and fix these problems. It's time that this board does what's right for the teachers and students of this county. It's also time for this board to put actions behind its words and to approve what the Board of County Supervisors has offered and to provide a world-class education for our school children. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Chris Park. Mr. Park. Mr. Park. Is he here, Sean? Okay. I don't want to skip him if he is. Okay. Moving right along, our next speaker is Mr. Jesse.
Good evening. My name is Richard Jesse. My address is on file. Two subjects I'd like to discuss this evening. One is a subject about the police officers in the school building. Last year, we had a situation where a kid took a carton of milk and then was approached by a police officer, eventually put in handcuffs, and had to go to court, missed school. And it's the question I would like to ask you. Normally, if a police officer wasn't there, this kid would probably got in trouble with the principal, been disciplined, probably got a couple days off or suspended. But instead, when you have a police officer in school acting as a disciplinarian, the kid was arrested, basically handcuffed, accused of having drugs or being on drugs, had to go to court, has been missing school, had missed school, and the family had to have the expense of doing this. Working with the county Commonwealth attorney, we have been able to get this case. They will not prosecute the case, but the kid is basically on like a probation for a year. What I would like for the school board to do is consider not what I think they call SRO is supposed to do, but what they are not supposed to do. They are not there, in my opinion, to be a disciplinarian and enforce petty law. This kid was charged with petty larceny, and I believe that just whatever with the police officer. So I again would like the school board to have someone, superintendent or one of your committees, look into what is the role and what is not the role of a police officer. Lastly, I'd just like to address something about this issue with the money. The County Board of Supervisors for 4 or 5 years has always reduced the tax rate, and they will reduce it again this year. And every time they reduce it, this board has more and more operating costs. It will cost probably about $6 million in operating costs to add 500 students. And the Board of County Supervisor is not going to give you that money. And every year, you're going to have less money and higher operating costs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Our next speaker is Barbara Larimore. Ms. Larimore, welcome back. You did well.
Hi. How is everyone tonight? Good, good. I'm here, obviously, to speak about more recess and PE in the school. I know you're surprised, but I think I just never really spoke to my experience, which was that I have a degree in psychology, so I've always had an interest in the human mind and how it works with the body. I was also an outdoor experiential educator in New York, working with really difficult populations of children in New York City. And basically, those children were unable to succeed in the classroom and at home in New York City. So they would come to this camp called Ramapo for Children, and we would work with them and get them to succeed where they could not before. So I really do believe and have firsthand experience that children are able to succeed if given their basic need for movement and play. And I've seen it, and I really recommend that you look it up, ramapofforchildren.com if you're interested. So what I'm asking for, because I have this knowledge base, which is from my own personal experience, but I know you guys are the subject matter experts. I know that the Prince William County Education Association are subject matter experts. The principals, the superintendents, and the parents all have their own area of expertise. So if we could, pretty please, I'm asking for you guys to develop a council possibly to get all those minds together to work toward getting solutions for more PE and recess in school. More so the recess piece, because I know it's cheap, which would be great and something that we could do more immediately. I'm speaking with Richard Anderson, who showed up at my house last night. Great. Did you know politicians still did that? Did you know that they come to your house every once in a while, knock on your door? Well, he did that for me last night and really helped me bolster my spirits and know that we're on the right path. He grew up in the 70s, and so he remembers. I emailed you guys a question about if anybody had a schedule from the 1970s where they made this work. Mr. Anderson obviously never has suffered from a lack of instructional time. He had plenty of recess and PE, and so I really do believe it's not going to hurt any of our kids to be able to have more PE and recess time in our school. So that's his point of view. I hear a lot about what we can't do and what the struggles are, and I know they're real. I really understand that they're real struggles, but I do believe that this group, Ms. O'Casey, parents, Superintendent Erickson over there, he's looking down, but hi. I know that getting these people together, I know that if we thought of some outside-the-box solutions, 5 each, some crazy ones, some not so crazy ones, we could come together to find a good solution to make this work. I was in the lobby, and a wonderful woman gave me the answer right in my hand, and I was like, this is why I'm here, because I want to hear what these smart people have to say. So thank you so much. I'll see you again soon. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Don't worry, Delegate Anderson. We won't comment whether or not we think you had enough instructional time. We'll just keep those to ourselves. Our next speaker is Ms. Andrea Delavan.
Hi, I'm here with Barbara. I also am looking to hopefully expand our PE and recess, especially in elementary school, but obviously in all schools in Prince William County. Today is the 4th anniversary of the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School. That incident did hit home for me, as 3 of my cousins went to that elementary school, and lucky for me, they were in high school and college when that incident took place. But what I've been reminded of today with talk about safety and security at our schools is, I'm a nurse, sorry, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Safety and security are flashy and scary, and so people will listen. People started listening when I mentioned Sandy Hook. But below safety and security on the hierarchy, which is the more basic and more important, is the tier for physiological needs. How can we ask our children to focus on learning, excuse me, how can we expect them to reach their full potential if we cannot meet their basic needs of exercise? Again, we try at home, we do what we can, but at school, we're still feeding our children. We are meeting their basic need to eat. We are letting them go to the bathroom. We are letting them drink. Why are we not reaching the physiological need of exercise? I just ask that you please consider our children's physiological needs when planning future curriculums. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And coming out of the bullpen to close this thing down is Delegate Richard Anderson from the 51st District here in Prince William County. Delegate Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's show and tell time. This is the first time I've been the object to be shown. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the school board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. The reason that I am here, and by the way, my name is Rich Anderson and I reside in the Occoquan District, is I wish to rise tonight and associate myself with Ms. Laramore's remarks. And I wanted to explain to you how I came to be involved with this. In fact, it has only happened in the last 24 hours. Ms. Laramore has been in touch with my office, and my legislative assistant met with her one time. I've been having correspondence back and forth with her on this issue over email. And so last night, just on the spur of the moment, I was in her neighborhood or near her neighborhood. So about 7:30, I called her home, said that would it be convenient to either talk or drop by? Her husband said, come on by, she's running an errand, she'll be here shortly. So we sat and talked this issue. I like to do that with constituents. And then when I left, I had about a 10-minute drive home. Before I left, she made a photograph of me and her husband, a selfie in front of their Christmas tree. 10 minutes later, I get home, I get on my email, and there's a notice that I've been tagged on Facebook. She had posted the picture. So I said, I think I'll go talk to the school board to explain to them my position on this. And so I just wanted to tell you, I do have to agree. I grew up in an era where there was frequent recess, and I see some of you nodding your head, yes. The physical and the mental and emotional are inextricably linked. I see great utility in this proposal to return to a practice of yesteryear. But I also recognize the limitations of doing so in cost, in time, instructional time, and so many other things. So last night I had a conversation after I got home with the chairman of the House Education Committee. I talked to a friend of mine on the Virginia State Board of Education. And then today I had a pretty good conversation with the Secretary of Education, and she's assigned someone to assist me in understanding this a little deeper. What I want to say to you tonight is simply that as we move through this, I feel like it has to be a partnership between the citizens group that Ms. Larimore has informally chartered, plus the school board, plus the school division, plus the Prince William Education Association working together on this. I'm keenly aware that in the statements of support and opposition that under instruction and standards of learning oppose all bills that require additional time per week for physical education, but under school board governance, support and advocate for all bills that provide local school boards with the option to count recess as part of the instructional day. I think maybe the way ahead is in there, but the way ahead lies in the future. This is probably going to be a protracted conversation. And so because of my involvement in this, I just wanted to explain that to you. And I'd like to take the liberty of associating myself, if I might, I hadn't planned on doing this, but with Mr. Jesse's first remarks, and I believe that there needs to be work done by us in Richmond on this whole tragedy of schools to jails. That is something that a number of us are talking about in Richmond. It's not something I'm going to lead because my quiver is full of other issues, but I intend to join those who are leading it. So thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, sir. I'd also like to note, Delegate Anderson, that I let you run over time, so when we come visit you as a board in January, I just like to just store that, put that in the back of your brain. I just want you to remember that. We're moving right along to item 14.01. I know, Mr. Mulgrew, this has your name on it. So 1401, which is the Battlefield High School Best Practices Showcase. Mr. Mulgrew.
Good evening, Chairman Sawyers, members of the school board, and Dr. Waltz. I'm proud to introduce Mr. Ryan Ferreira, the principal at Battlefield High School, who will share with you some of the innovative programs, including dual enrollment, CTE, and IT programs implemented at Battlefield that directly benefit students. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the solid academic foundation laid by former principal Miss Amy Etheridge-Conti during her many years of service. Members of the Battlefield staff are here to share their successes. At this time, it's my privilege to introduce Mr. Ryan Ferreira, the principal at Battlefield High School.
Thank you, Mr. Mulgrew, for your introduction. And I certainly echoed the sentiment about my predecessor, Ms. Etheridge-Conti. Good evening, Chairman Sawyers, school board members, Dr. Waltz. I'm proud to be here tonight as the principal of Battlefield High School. It is absolutely an honor to serve these students, staff, and community members, and I appreciate the opportunity to present just some of the exciting things happening at Battlefield. Any of our great Prince William County principals will tell you that it's people, not programs, that make the greatest difference in our students' success. And while you're going to hear about some of these programs, dual enrollment, CTE, our IT program, it is the people involved who make them work for students. And I'm going to ask my team to come on up because joining me this evening are some great people. Mr. Chris McMillan, assistant principal, Ms. Elle Nguyen, school counselor, Ms. Stephanie Evers, CTE teacher, Mr. Joe Calloway, social studies teacher, Miss Jessica Lopresti, English teacher, Miss Gail Drake, CTE teacher, and Kimberly Zhang, Battlefield High School senior. You're going to hear from all these folks this evening, and at this time I will hand this off to Mr. McMillan to get us started, and I hope you enjoy hearing about some of our best practices tonight.
Good evening. Simply put, dual enrollment courses remove barriers and strengthen students' academic base before entering college. These courses also help families as they allow students to complete college courses before attending college, also reducing cost and allowing students time to explore interests before committing to a college or to a major. For example, the average cost in Virginia for a credit of 3-credit class is $261. Now, that's an average for one class of 3 credits of amount of $783. If you attend UVA, you're looking at a cost per credit of $371, averaging out to about $1,113. If you decide to go to VCU, you're looking at an average cost per credit $370, averaging out to $1,100. If you decide to go to Virginia Tech, you're looking at a cost per credit of $437, averaging out once again to about $1,311. Taking our program at Battlefield High School, you're looking at the cost of being free. Now, you can't do the math, but if you're looking at being free before you go to college, and I'm looking at my kids, there's a lot of savings on our behalf. And it's also including the book to go along with the class. Now, at Battlefield High School, we have a robust program of up to 46 dual enrollment credits opportunities. These include within our CTE and IT program, and also in English and government. As students achieve college credits, they also have the opportunities to receive industry certifications in the CT area, as you can see on your slides. We've got multiple venues for our students. As we go forward, you're going to hear an in-depth view from our colleagues about how the program works. So next, I would like to accept Ms. Nguyen to come up and speak on her behalf. Thank you.
Good evening. Battlefield High School counselors support the governor's incentive for students to earn college credit before graduating high school, consequently making the most of their high school experience. One of the pivotal pieces of our conversation with students stems from the fact that a successful grade in a dual enrollment class means immediate college credit transferable to their intended school. Students are able to experience an authentic college class in the convenience of their high school, allowing them to fit in the maximum possible credits instead of having to travel off campus. A major factor which appeals to students is that tuition is free, relieving some of the financial burden of their college education. We stress the importance that students become well aware of the expectations of a dual enrollment course, as it offers them the opportunity to experience a genuine college class, yet offers the supports of their familiar Battlefield environment. We work closely with students so that they understand what is expected of them in a college-level class. They need to have the mindset and determination of a college-ready student, prepared with college-level time management and study skills. It is essential that they possess a maturity level that mirrors that of a college student. Though these courses are taught by highly trained Battlefield teachers with master's degrees, these courses actually begin a student's college transcript. Students who earn a successful grade in this college-level class earn credits both towards high school graduation and towards their college degree. The grades are factored into both their college and high school GPAs. Since the program began, the number of students participating in dual enrollment, and you can see from the slide, has nearly quadrupled from just over 100 to 400 students for the 2016-17 school year. The classes offered include 4 IT content areas, English 12 and U.S. Virginia Government. The instant college credit earned is very appealing to students, especially those intending to start their college career at Nova. Those students may check transfer credit agreements of their intended four-year universities to see what credits they will earn. Students clearly understand that in order to take a dual enrollment class, they are expected to apply to NOVA, and they must qualify for dual enrollment, a dual enrollment course placement through either their SAT or PSAT score or the Virginia Placement Test. Students may choose to go to the NOVA campus for the Virginia Placement testing, but we offer the testing multiple times at Battlefield for their convenience. I'd like to introduce Ms. Stephanie Evers.
Good evening. Cisco Systems is the largest networking company in the world. The Cisco Networking Academy is a global educational initiative to train networking professionals to efficiently and securely configure Cisco devices. Our students learn the same curriculum that I teach at Northern Virginia Community College and is taught at colleges and universities all over the world. The 4-course sequence allows students the opportunity to earn 16 college credits and networking certificate from NOVA. At Battlefield, I've been teaching the Cisco networking program for dual enrollment credit since 2008, and we've had many students go on to earn highly regarded Cisco certifications, such as the CCENT and CCNA. Students have worked in networking positions while attending college, graduated early from college. One student won a national college networking competition, and many begin networking careers after their college graduation. On a personal note, my daughter graduated from Battlefield last year, and she is a freshman this year at American University. I couldn't get her to take IT courses, of course, but she took dual enrollment English and government from Ms. Lopresti and Mr. Calloway. She said these 2 classes prepared her better for the rigor, time management, and independence of college than any other classes she took in high school. Mr. Calloway.
Good evening. The dual enrollment government course offered in the county is equivalent to Political Science 211 and 212 over at NOVA. And the specific course we offer at Battlefield High School has been set up based off of my personal experiences in graduate and undergraduate political science courses. The goal of the course is for them to develop an analytical understanding of our political system, from institutions to policies and whatnot. But we're also trying to develop and introduce and provide an introduction to just college level course setting and expectations. The course provides students an early experience and awareness into the structure of a political science course and the prospect of developing necessary skills and work habits that is required to succeed. Through this experience, they're going to have the opportunity to utilize scholarly journals, professional studies, access to digital libraries and databases, and the opportunity to develop an increased level of individual accountability and collaboration with their peers. Students have the opportunity for peer collaboration through discussions on scholarly research. They take part in discussion leads with an assigned article, and there's also policy simulations throughout each semester. Individually, students develop a course-specific work ethic while developing research design and project. They also have to prepare for theoretical and factual arguments based on particular readings. And then there's also just generating a thorough understanding of the course material. It's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all kind of college course setting, but this course is based upon my experiences through multiple institutions, multiple levels of political science courses, and the aim is to provide them kind of an introduction to an equivalent level. And Ms. Lopresti's next.
Dual enrollment English courses are the same courses all college freshmen are required to take at NOVA and at any 2 or 4-year institution. English 111, taken in the fall, similar to an English 101 or freshman composition class, is a survey course in genre writing, where students are asked to write traditional research papers, critical reviews, create infographics, write memoirs, kinds of essays students will encounter during the rest of their college career and beyond. English 112, taken in the spring, continues to ask students to write essays. However, the focus is on different literary genres like poetry, short stories, plays, nonfiction essays. By the time a student completes dual enrollment English, he or she has not only earned 6 college English credits, but has also the experience of writing nearly 40 pages worth of essays. That's about 15 to 20 pages per semester, which is the standard for freshman college English courses. The beauty of the dual enrollment English course is that the coursework is the same coursework that I would teach on a NOVA campus or in an online course. Our motivated students are receiving the same college level instruction and assignments they would receive on any college campus, just sooner.
Good evening, Chairman, Dr. Waltz, and Board. My name is Gail Drake. I'm going to kind of bring this up a little higher with some numbers, so just bear with the numbers for a moment. In 2014, the Bureau of Labor Statistics documented that 50% of all jobs required information technology. The expectation for 2020 is that 77% of all jobs will require information technology, and 96% of all jobs will require communications technologies. In the next 4 years, we are anticipating a growth of 5.8 million jobs in information technology, 51% in software development, including programming, web development, and database, over 1 million of those in cybersecurity. With this increase, they're expecting 75,000 new businesses to be created. Battlefield High School's selection to be an information technology program absolutely was best practices of the Prince William County School District. Adding dual enrollment to it put this organization on the map. Through dual enrollment, you've heard a lot of the benefits. I'm going to put a few different ones out there for you. Students become familiar with college expectations, with college academic behaviors, and habits of a mind. Students are able to get ahead on their post-secondary education, but they also gain an academic momentum towards a degree or credential. And gaining that has proven through research that their post-secondary enrollment is a predictor of their college successes. Battlefield's IT program has also continued to supply a pipeline of employable graduates in both the IT field and the cyber field, and in all fields that use information technology, our students' careers are boosted. Our students are able to use computers, analyze data, and defend against vulnerabilities in all types of organizations. Graduated students of Battlefield High School report that they are the young leaders of the organizations that they have joined. In closing for my portion, Battlefield offers more IT courses than any other school in the state of Virginia. It's with great pleasure that I get to introduce to you tonight a senior at Battlefield High School. This is Kimberly Zhang.
Good evening. I am Kimberly Zhang. For the past 3 years, I have been enrolled in the Battlefield IT program. I have taken nearly 1/4 of my required courses online in order to free up my schedule for my IT classes. Many would call me foolish for overburdening myself with courses I may not even need for my finance major. However, I would argue that every work environment is dependent on IT. Through the dual-enrolled college courses in the IT program, I learned how to solve problems systematically. Through the dual-enrolled courses in the IT program, I learned how to organize data into models, to see trends and make sound decisions. Through the dual-enrolled college courses in the IT program, I learned to think more logically. Would I have acquired these skills eventually in the future had I not taken any IT classes at Battlefield? Possibly, but because I am in the IT program, that I'm more prepared for college and career. Upon graduation, I will have 22 DE credits and at least 2 industry certifications. I would say that applying to be in the IT program is the most worthwhile decision I have made in all 17 years of my life. Thank you.
Great job, Kimberly. I'll say I think all of us were a little nervous tonight. I think Kimberly was the only one on our team that was not nervous. And we do, just before I close us out here, we appreciate the school board and everything you all do. We do want to give a special token of appreciation to our school board representative, Ms. Allison Satterwhite. It's a little Christmas gift that Kimberly will present to you. Thank you very much. So once again, Chairman Sawyers, school board members, Dr. Waltz, and Mr. Mulgrew, I thank you for the opportunity to bring this great team to your meeting this evening. I hope that the information contained within has been illuminating. And on behalf of Battlefield High School, I wish you all a happy holidays and hope that we can be of assistance should you have any questions about dual enrollment or CTE programs in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrer. I'll open up for comments of praise, and I will start with Ms. Satterwhite since this is her district. If you would like to say anything, you don't have to, but if you'd like to, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sawyers. Mr. Ferrer, everybody from Battlefield, thank you so much for being here tonight. And Kimberly, thank you for your comments. 22 dual enrollment credits is pretty impressive. That's equivalent to almost equivalent to 2 semesters of college. And that's what our kids are able to do at Battlefield through this program. And I want to thank you, Mr. Ferrer, for your continuing support of our students. I want to thank all of you for your hard work with our students. Thank you very much, and all of our staff members who aren't here, who I know are watching at home right now. I know they're watching at home right now because that's what we do. This has always been an exciting program to me. One of my children took some courses through the IT engineering program, and it was instrumental to his getting into the program in Virginia Tech. And we've credited Battlefield for that, because if he had not had AutoCAD through Battlefield, he wouldn't have. He's an engineer now. He's in civil engineering. Getting that certification meant everything. So the things that we're doing are phenomenal. I was so excited when we added English and government for dual enrollment. I know one of the reasons we did that is because we were facing more overcrowding, and that was also a way for adding. We added some of those options, I think, for online, if I remember right. And so we're coming up with creative solutions to get our kids more credits, to help our kids achieve, and to do it in a way that we reduce overcrowding as we're trying to do it, and using our space in the best way we can. The IT program, I've been at Battlefield for some of the robotics programs. I've been in the classrooms where the kids are at work, and what we are doing is absolutely incredible. What our kids are accomplishing is incredible. You know, when I go to the scholarship presentation at the end of the year, and I hear where our kids are going to school, and I hear about the scholarships that they're getting, what we're doing is working. And so I thank you for continuing what we're doing and continuing to make it better each year. You guys are the best, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Satterwhite. Any additional comments? Mr. Brand?
I want to thank everybody from Battlefield for presenting tonight. As somebody with an English writing, English teaching background who now works as a technical writer in the IT field, you're kind of talking up, right to me tonight. And I guess I have a government focus as well now, so tying into that as well. So thank you for your presentation. It's all great things. If you're preparing these students for future careers in the IT world, you're doing a great thing, because knowing from firsthand experience, we could use those skills, and those skills need to continue to be developed. And if they can pick up those skills even earlier than the college, when they get to a four-year college, that's a wonderful thing to have. It only prepares them better for the future and helps them get their foot in the door a lot faster. So thank you. Keep up the good work. And as somebody I know you have a Woodbridge background as well.
Right.
Great things come out of Woodbridge High School. So keep up the great work at Battlefield. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Always the plug for the alma mater. Always the plug. We've got two of you up here. Oh, man. Thank you, Mr. Brand. Miss Jessie.
Woodbridge High School is in the Occoquan District. I want to congratulate you also. I think earlier someone talked about the fact that as a board we need to focus on education. When I came on this board 3 years ago, one of the things that I asked Dr. Waltz and his staff is to create an opportunity for teachers and principals to share. And I'm just very pleased that when they created this type of format, it allows us to share what's working in this county. There's a lot of things working. On Battlefield, I try to follow what's working, and I want to congratulate you on your national ranking. You're one of 3 schools, I think, in this county that has been ranked as a top-notch school through U.S. News and World Report. I want to congratulate you on that. I also want to congratulate you on the writing, because we know that writing is it. It's supposedly the #1 skill that we need to have in order to be successful. I also wanted to congratulate you on the 4-year follow-up. It seems like, am I correct that you're following up on students, because you seem to know that they're graduating with a BS and MS in 4 years, so that means that you're actually tracking your students after they leave college. And that is a task, but it's so very, very important. One of the researchers said that they follow their kids for a year, and the question they ask is, did I do right by you? And at this point in my career, it seems like all the students, my students who went to Vaughan, work at Kohl's. And I run into them, and I always ask them the same question, did I do right by you? And I think that's a good question for you to ask, and I'm just honored to be at Battlefield. I went to some of the IT activities on Saturday at that school, and it's just a phenomenal school. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jessie.
Anybody else? Ms. Satterwhite.
I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that Mr. Ferreira is presenting in front of the school board on his birthday today. So, Mr. Ferreira, I wanted to publicly say happy birthday.
Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you again. And now we're moving right along to item 14.02, which is the Garfield High School Best Practices Showcase. Mr. Mulgrew.
Good evening, Chairman Sawyers, members of the school board, and Dr. Waltz. I'm proud to introduce Dr. Sharif Sadki, principal of Garfield High School, who will share, along with his staff members, some of the best practices implemented at Garfield to close the achievement gap. As a former Garfield graduate, I'm especially pleased to have Dr. Sadki share with you the strategies implemented at Garfield in both the traditional academic areas and the CT area to make Garfield the successful school it is. I would be remiss if I didn't share that Garfield has experienced outstanding leadership over the years, including former principals Bill Bixby, Dr. Brenda Aiken, and Roger Dallek, whose foundation Dr. Sadki and his staff have built upon. It is my privilege to now introduce Dr. Sharif Sadki.
Thank you, Mr. Mulgrew, for that introduction. And I echo your sentiments. The work that Mr. Bixby has done in the last 4 years before I took over the building is great work that I'm continuing. Good evening, Chairman Sawyers, members of the school board, and Dr. Walls. I'm very pleased and humbled to be here in front of you and have the opportunity to speak for over 2,500 students at Garfield and our journey to closing the achievement gap. Before I continue with my presentation, I would like you to know that coming from poverty, being an immigrant, and an English language learner, closing the achievement gap has been my utmost responsibility throughout my educational career. I'm in my 34th year as an educator, and it always has been my purpose in life. So I am very humbled that Dr. Walls, the school board, and Mr. Mulgrew have given me the opportunity to lead this wonderful school. And you will see the great work that we're doing and the great students that we have at Garfield. But being an African, you don't do the work by yourself. My heritage believes in you do the work as a team. So I have with me my team who is here, in my respect to them and my dedication to also my staff, because I believe that we educate the children as well as supporting the adults in the building. So if my members could come forward, please. Mr. Anthony Lovelace. Mr. Lovelace, he is our head custodian. With his leadership, our building is always immaculate. Everybody who comes to Garfield, Garfield being a building built in 1972, everybody tells me that the building looks great, clean, and wonderful building. So thank you, Mr. Lovelace. Mrs. Carla Kelly, our cafeteria manager, who works tirelessly in preparing and serving the many meals enjoyed by our students. Thank you for your dedication and support. Thank you. And I have with me Mrs. Lisa Marie Kane, assistant principal, who continues to monitor our math achievement and offer best support to our students and teachers. Mr. Bassett, our coordinator of the IB program and gifted education, he's continuously looking for ways to identify and place students on the advanced pathway to graduation through our many challenging course offerings. You'll hear them both speak when it comes to their parts. The most important people really to us, and you hear it all the time, is our students. I have a surprise. I won't name the students yet, but I have two students who are here, Magali Delgado and Justine Hernandez, who are part of our junior ROTC, one of our strongest programs. It's a program for over 240 students in the program. So now I would like to highlight some of our achievements that speak to closing the achievement gap. We have been fully accredited for the past 2 years and made School of Excellence for the year 2014-15. We are committed to offering a culturally responsive environment to all of our students. We are continually increasing our on-time graduation rate. We look for ways to enrich our students' education by offering new opportunities for students such as the International Baccalaureate Career Certificate Program. Mr. Bassett will speak to that. Project Lead the Way, and next year to come, the Plumbing Program Certificate, starting in 2017-18 school year. Our achievement in mathematics has increased, and we are consistently monitoring student progress with the help of our great teachers who have done a tremendous work in making sure our math scores have grown in the past few years. As I said earlier, we believe in removing all barriers for students to be successful. That's how we close the achievement gap. For me, closing the achievement gap is a question of equity, and how do you show that? Is you remove the barriers in school. That's how students will have access to great education. But parents are part of that puzzle also. And with our school parent liaison and all the teachers and the counselors, we have a variety of programs that we offer to our parents. We have Parents Are Educational Partners program, College Night for English language learners, Coffee with a Counselor, workshops for parents, and we have tutoring programs for our English learners, College First Students program for our first generation students, and we currently have, and thank you to food services, we serve regular breakfast, late breakfast, second chance breakfast, lunch, and 2 dinners for our students. So for the month of October, as the slide shows, that's when we made the slides, we served over 12,000 breakfasts and close to 35,000 lunch served, and over 2,000 dinners served for our students. We worked very hard, and Mr. Bixby had started this, and I continued, that every classroom now has a smart technology, has for students, we have tablets. So every student, every classroom has tablets. So the students has the tablet in classroom, or they can take it home if they choose to do so. So now to the great work of our teachers, our counselors, and everybody in the building, is our graduation rate, on-time graduation rate, speaks for itself. If you look in the last 3 years, we have really increased in all subgroups. For all our students, we went from 82% to 87%. For our African-American students, we went by 1%, which is higher than our overall. Our Hispanic students has increased, and also our English language learners, and our economically disadvantaged, we're about 61% economically disadvantaged at Garfield. We went by 8%. So as you can see, that we strive to educate everyone. Our goal is to increase that graduation rate and to become, as what the state says, in the 90s. Hopefully, in a couple of years, we're working very hard in making sure that graduation is our most important part of closing the achievement gap. So now Mr. Bassett to talk about our IB program.
Thank you. My name is Brian Bassett. I am a class of 91 graduate of Garfield High School. I'm also my 21st year and a proud parent of 2 Garfield students, one who is a senior and was granted acceptance at Virginia Tech this week. Congratulations, Kyle. And a freshman student. So very proud of that. I do want to thank the board and Dr. Waltz for drawing the boundaries the way that you did. I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but you were able to capture the coolest parents and students in the eastern parts of Prince William. And it's a pleasure to actually have the opportunity to serve them every day. And so I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but it's unfortunate for the other schools like Woodbridge and Prince William County Schools. So I do want to thank you guys for that. Garfield High School offers three of the four programs offered by the the IB organization. We offer the IB Middle Years program to students in the advanced course sequence in grades 9 and 10, and the IB Diploma program and IB Career-related program in grades 11 and 12. Last year, our diploma program had 23 different subjects examined, with over 840 exams administered with a 72% pass rate on all exams. Pass rates are important to IB schools because we can't earn IB diplomas if we have areas of weakness. This is significant when comparing to other externally assessed programs in Prince William County, since most of our externally assessed courses are two-year courses as opposed to the one-year options available at our other schools. Garfield High School continues to tap into the strength of its native Spanish-speaking population by having 2 students last year earn the prestigious bilingual IB diploma. We also had 22 students examine in Spanish language and literature in 2016 and have 42 scheduled for May of 2017. Our May 2017 registrations look to be the second largest number in the history of the program, with 359 11th and 12th graders examining in 25 subjects, with 908 subject examinations. That's a significant bill. And I want to reiterate the appreciation we have for the financial support provided by this board. Paying the fees for examinations is huge because it makes these programs accessible to our students. The 61% free and reduced lunch population, we would not have the level of participation. And I also would have concerns over the impact that would have on who gets the attention in the classroom. Our newest program offered is, which we believe will help broaden participation. We've already seen this happen, while also encouraging more students to take more rigorous coursework, is our IB career-related program. We're the 7th school in the state of Virginia authorized by the IBO to offer this program. Our first group, which will be graduating this year, is a cohort of 28 with 44 juniors in that cohort. Next is Ms. Lisa Kane, who will be speaking with you. She's the supervisor of mathematics and science, assistant principal at Garfield High School.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Kane, as Brian said, and I'm over math and science at Garfield. This is my second year as an assistant principal, and I can say with certainty that I would not want to have started this journey anywhere else. It is a privilege for me to work alongside a dedicated administrative team, as well as the 168 teachers and counselors who bring their very best for our students each and every day. Over the past 3 years, Garfield Math Department has seen an increase in our SOL scores by 12%, and I'm going to highlight some of the things that we did to make that happen. Research shows that the most important factor contributing to student achievement is the classroom teacher. We work hard to hire the best new teachers who will develop relationships with our students and support our high expectations for their learning. The 19 teachers in our math department are collaborative, reflective, and supportive of each other. They are a team. The algebra and geometry teams have common planning to design assessments as well as discuss challenges and successes in their classrooms. Our entire school is now standards-based, and several of our teachers have led the way with this initiative in our school. Knowing that learning is a process and that we all learn at different rates, we allow students to retake all summative assessments after they have been remediated. This allows students to show mastery at their own pace. If you visit any of our math classes, you will see teachers utilizing a variety of instructional strategies to meet the needs of all learners, such as interactive notebooks, technology, tablets, word walls, scavenger hunts, manipulatives such as Exploragon, and daily warm-ups. One teacher is currently teaching his students factoring using a whodunit mystery theme. As students achieve mastery on different targets, they earn clues to determine who caused the mayhem in math. We have utilized project graduation grants to support remediation, and boot camps to get our seniors their verified math credit. We pay very close attention to student ability, and we make sure students are properly placed. For example, students who struggle in Algebra 1 have been placed in AFDA instead of geometry so they can gain stronger algebraic skills. We have reduced class sizes of our Algebra 1 and geometry classes to provide more one-on-one time between teacher and students. We purchased ALEX software to help our Algebra 1 and Algebra 1 Part 1 students develop their skills. This software is well received by teachers as well as the students because it can be presented in English or Spanish, and the teacher can customize the level for each student based on their needs, thus differentiating instruction. And finally, we have seen ongoing success in our Freshman Academy for students who need additional support in math and reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, I know last time you said our students are learning, but are they having fun? So we have a surprise for you. So Mr. Kortash, our assistant principal in charge of the Department of Music, is going to introduce the surprise.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Kortash, second-year assistant principal at Garfield High School. Chairman Sawyers, board, Dr. Waltz, we're going to bring the fun. I'd like to introduce to you our Garfield marching band drumline. Over the course of the last couple of years, and especially this year, we've had a large transition. And it's pretty easy to see that they're kind of the heart and soul of our band and of our school. If you ever come to one of our football games, you're in for a treat. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our drumline. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to take a moment so they can introduce themselves.
Your name and your grade.
Do you want to just step right up? Yeah, just step right up to them.
Just come up.
Nicholas Davis, 11th grade.
Nicholas Cowan, 12th grade. Kaylee Jackson, 9th grade.
Raziel Fields, 12th grade. And I just want to say thank you to you guys. I appreciate you.
Miriam Ahmed, 11th grade. 10th grade, sorry about that.
Dylan Dammy, 10th grade.
That will make it.
These students are the reason I get up every morning and go to work. And will Jocelyn and Magali come? And we have a little token of appreciation for Ms. Ralston. Happy holidays from Garfield. Happy holidays to all of you from Garfield. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed presenting to you my wonderful school, and I believe in it wholeheartedly, and I think we're doing great work at Garfield, and thank you for your support every day. Thank you very much, and happy holidays to all of you.
Yes, sir. Happy holidays to you as well.
You.
Thank you. Ms. Ralston, you have the honors.
Thank you. Thank you, Garfield. I'm always talking about having fun and bringing good news. Well, I didn't have to bring it tonight. I mean, they brought it. They brought it. Let me say that no matter what, if I go to Garfield at 8 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Dr. Saki is never in his office. If I call, he's never in his office. And I say to his secretary sometime, listen, get a rope and tie him to his seat. He is out there every single day. He brings his A game and expects the students to do likewise. So I thank you so much for being there. Just think, I've had 1 whole year with you. We only have 3 more to go. Thank you very much, Garfield. And plus, I can't leave till after my youngest goes through Garfield. So I've got one graduating this coming June, a freshman, and then in a couple of years I'll have another freshman in there. So I thank you. I'm very impressed by what you're able to do. Sometimes people don't think that we can do what we can really do. But when you set your mind to it and you tell every student they can learn no matter what, then they do. And thank you so, so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ralston. If I don't go to Ms. Williams next, she may strike me. So, Ms. Williams.
That might be true. First, thank you so much, Dr. Sadaki. As a Woodbridge graduate, you know it goes against everything in my very nature to say how much I absolutely adore Garfield High School. So everyone brace yourself, you graduate from Woodbridge, I'm sorry. I am so excited about all of the programming and everything that you do at the school. I'm sorry, I'm short, and then I can't see you. So the way that you accept your student body for who they are and respect everywhere that they come from, because I know you have an extremely diverse student body, is amazing. And you meet those needs, and it's absolutely outstanding, the dinner program and all the grants that you have written to really ensure that the students are, you're removing those barriers so those students can learn. And it's something to definitely be proud of. And like Ms. Ralston says, I've never seen you sit except for tonight. So every time I go to Garfield, an event, if it's a school-related event, or I go now for the breast cancer awareness that's your host at your school, you are still there and moving all of the time, and the students know who you are, they appreciate you, and I know from having friends who have kids actually in your building that they enjoy their school day. And high schoolers, you know, Let's just say it's not always a common thing. And then on the fun note, I have to say to the marching band, you brought the good go-go. So as a Prince William County resident, girl who grew up here, I must say thank you for the good go-go. I was up here moving in my seat. We didn't have good go-go at Woodbridge. So have to give a shout out where that's due because I know the students love it. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That is homegrown music. That's what the kids enjoy. It's with something, as far as I'm concerned, we can bond with our kids with, because that's what I grew up on. And so I was up here dancing in my seat. So thank you so much for bringing the fun and the go-go. Good go-go means a lot to a homegrown girl. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Jessie.
The question that I say I often ask students, did you do right by me? And I just want you to know that Jennifer and Jessica Jessie attended Garfield High School, and you did right by them. The IB program changed my daughter's life. She was the zigzag kid. You know, the principals in the room or people in education know what zigzag is. She could make an F or an A. It depended on what was happening. My husband and I would not, if we were going to go to dinner and Jennifer's grades came in, we thought, should we look at them before or should we wait until after? Because we never knew what they were going to be. And so we didn't want to ruin our dinner. So what happened with her was that the IB program at Garfield High School is just the best. She walked into Virginia Tech with all these credits, and I still thought she would do the AF thing, and she didn't, which shocked me. We kept waiting, you know, and it just never happened because she had the foundation, she had the courses when she walked into Virginia Tech and graduated summa, which was shocking to, I mean, I think we almost fainted. But really, you made a difference in her life. And I want to say to Dr. Saki, you said at the bottom of your slide that you did something with professional learning communities. And one of the things about professional learning communities is that there's a sense of oneness in the school, and you can feel it. Everybody is included. And when you walked in here, and the first person you introduced was your custodial staff. And then you did the food service. And you did the band and the IB and the math. Nothing was left unturned, that you understand that in order to be a high-performing school, everybody's included. To your custodial manager, when I walked into Vaughn, I had a lady by the name of Suzanne Blaze. And you may not know her, but she would put 7 coats of wax on the floor, even though it was illegal, because she wanted that building to be done right. And she was the ultimate professional. And to the cafeteria manager, cooking all day long, it seems like you're cooking probably from breakfast until night because you have these kids. And by the way, I had some of the food over there, and it's excellent. I got in line with those kids who were after school and got a little bit of the food. It's really good. But all in all, I just want to say that I've been to Garfield. My kids went to Garfield. I feel like I'm a part of Garfield High School. And when my neighbors said, oh, when I moved into my home, they said, you know your kids are going to go to Garfield. And I said, oh, yeah. I know my kids are going to go to Garfield. I was proud then, and I'm proud now. Thank you.
Dr. Saki, I'll wrap up here briefly. You know, you and I got to sit next to each other at graduation. So sorry I kept you distracted there. I'm a talker. It's part of what I do. But ultimately, you know, I thought the interesting point about the IB program and the testing and how much it helps your school, and that we help pay for the testing, and I agree with all of that. But it's always been interesting to me. I tend to look at the core of things and how things can be wasted if the base isn't there for other things. And it's not often talked about, and I know I've talked about it from this dais before, but everything is wasted if you're starving. Everything is wasted if you come to school hungry. The IB program, the fact that we pay for testing, if you can't take a test and do it well when there's no food in your belly. For you to recognize that, and not just recognize it, but believe in it, because you and I have had a couple conversations about this now, your passion shows through, not just for your school, but the school's ultimately a building, but for your students. And it's very clear to me that it's contagious and that it shows. And it's only done because you're never in your office. It's only done because you put the miles in, both physically and mentally, to make sure that your students succeed. I can't help but think of my grandparents. One of my favorite things to do when I was a kid, not because you remind me of my grandparents, just to be clear, but one of my favorite things to do as a kid was to listen to my grandparents talk. And my grandparents were the first generation born here. My great-grandparents were Italian immigrants and came through Ellis Island. And I'll never forget when them telling me their stories of learning English because their parents only spoke Italian. And they were business owners as well, my great-grandparents were, and how it took extra effort for them to learn the language so they could take advantage of the education that their school system at the time, which probably certainly isn't what we're offering today, considering they grew up in 1930s West Virginia. But it certainly is. Makes me realize that the struggle still continues, and that we need to make sure that those students, whether they be first-generation immigrants or second-generation immigrants, have an opportunity to take advantage of the school system that we supply them. But on the food side, I just wanted to also tell you in front of everybody, keep it between us, but they'll probably overhear us, is that if you need anything from me as far as making sure that students have a little extra food in their belly and take advantage of the wonderful things that your staff does for them, I'm more than willing to help in any way that I possibly can. So please take advantage of it. Give me a call, send me an email, and I'd be glad to help and come down your way. And I might even be able to drag Miss Ralston with me, but I can't promise that. So thank you very much, sir. All right, get my computer oriented here. Thank you all. We are on item 15.01, which is on for information. It's the naming of new facilities building. Mr. Klein.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Waltz. Actually, for the many times that I have been up here before the board, I think this is probably one of the, opportunities on which I am truly thrilled to be here providing this offering and recommendation. As you recall, this past fall, we opened a new facilities services building over on the Independent Hill Complex. This facility, to my knowledge, is the first time that we have constructed a facility for our maintenance and support staff. We have, through your support and funding, have built a very professional building, I say building and facility, that supports the operations of our facility staff. It is truly a professional environment for them to operate. It is not an office building as you normally think of it. It is really a workspace. There are workspaces, there are shops, there is storage, there are loading docks, all the kinds of things we get excited about in facilities because it allows us to bring all our staff together, work together in a truly professional environment, which is dramatically different than where we were in many of our, we've been previously located on a 1950s Air Force base in all kinds of buildings and shops and structures, none of which were ever designed for where we were conducting operations, and we think this is truly fantastic. To go along with this, we've had a suggestion certainly from Mrs. Jesse, our Vice Chairman of the Board, for a recommendation to name the building after Mr. Randy G. Dasher. To give you a little bit about Mr. Dasher is truly representative of our maintenance staff. Mr. Dasher is a lifelong resident of Prince William County. He attended Yorkshire Elementary School, the old one, before we tore it down and built a new one. He attended Ripon Middle School. He attended Osborne High School, graduated from Osborne before the whole thing became Osborne Park and all that. And therefore, immediately after graduation, he came to work for us as a draftsman in the maintenance department. He worked through a number of increasingly responsible positions in maintenance and facilities and shifted over to the construction department in the mid-'80s. Just before this, he is also, for those of you who are aware of our security resident program, he also resided as a security resident for him and his family for 7 years within Osborne Park High School. So he's done many things. He went through a succession of, again, increasing responsibilities, becoming supervisor of construction, leading to director of construction. After reorganization, it became director of construction and planning services, and in 2008, He also took on the responsibilities of our entire maintenance operation in addition to construction and planning. He has retired in June of 2012 after, I believe it was 38 years of tremendous service. During the time he was in the school division, working at least, we constructed over 70 schools. Certainly under his leadership, 5 high schools, 8 middle schools, 35 elementary schools were planned and constructed, as well as, and we didn't count them up, numerous school additions, renovations, and multiple school facility improvements. He is responsible for the development and implementation of several of our design prototypes, including 4 different elementary schools, a middle school, and 2 high school prototypes. And in the time period in which certainly he has held these responsible positions, he was successful in opening all buildings on time and within budget. I've provided somewhat of a draft or a bio for him. I would like to just take a couple minutes sort of here to say, I cannot think of anyone, in my many years here in the school division, I cannot think of anyone for whom this would be more appropriately named. He truly represents each and every stage and phase of all of our maintenance staff, our maintenance workers, their dedication to the children and the staff of Prince William County Schools. He worked towards that each and every day. At the same time, he was a tremendous individual in working with people and collaborating and working together. It was in many sense an honor to work with him, to have him work for me, which usually consisted of get out of his way, give him resources, and let him do great things. And for that, again, at the recommendation of Mrs. Jessie, we'd certainly like to move forward this recommendation for the naming of the Facility Services Building. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Questions or comments from the board? Ms. Jessie.
Well, sometimes you get an idea hits you and it's the right thing. I went to the dedication of this maintenance building, and I want to compliment or commend Dr. Waltz and Mr. Klein, because you invited everyone into that room, and that meant so much to them that everybody was there, that you made the time for them to come. And I think the room with all the draft sheets and all this, and they pull all those things out, and it just hit me at that moment that here's a man that I came here in the 70s, and the only person I knew of the building was Randy Dash's name was always there because I became a principal. And he was just born with a gift. Just born with a gift. You know, professionalism sometimes has nothing to do with degrees. I said that about my custodian, and I would say that about Randy Dash. He just has a gift. And I was lucky enough to have, first of all, I was at Independent Hill, and you heard me say that my Dr. Cooley, who was there, had this expression about the buildings, the barracks, and he said the termites are in a circle holding hands, and if they let go, this place is going to cave in. And Randy Dasher and his group did all that renovation and made that happen. I became principal at Vaughan, and I don't know if it was Randy, but someone said, you don't have a cafeteria. And I said, oh, you're kidding, right? They said, no, you don't have a cafeteria. And I didn't. My food was brought across the street on wheels from Woodbridge Middle. And so they actually built a cafeteria for me. I had a library. I had to have a library at the school. They built a library. They renovated all the rooms inside. I was honestly under construction all the time. They built a wing on that building. And they did all of these things in such a professional manner. And it was all because of Randy Dasher. And they would bring these huge sheets and try to explain to me what they were going to do. And they were talking about punch lists and all these things. And I said, really, I have no idea what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, they got the job done, and it was done in a professional manner. So when I went in that building for that dedication, his name just, I thought, this is the man behind the scenes who has done it all, and he deserves to have a name on the building. And so I'm honored to put his name in as a recommendation for the naming of that building. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jessie. Anyone else? All right, thank you. Moving right along to leave adjustment implications relating to changing the teacher work hours. Mr. Deutsch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we adopt option 2.
Mr. Deutsch motions that we adopt option 2. I will second that motion. Discussion, Mr. Deutsch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that it is the right thing to do not to take any time away from teachers that they have earned and accrued, and especially do it right before we're about to go on Christmas break. And so I think this is the simplest thing we can do as we continue to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Deutsch. Ms. Williams?
I'm concerned about the do-nothing approach with the, not in the sense of trying or making an attempt to do anything in negative or affect morale with teachers, but from a business standpoint and our bottom line, how, maybe Mr. Klein, if you could provide a little bit more insight on the do-nothing approach. I'm not sure from our bottom line business that would be the smartest approach feasible. I understand that there's some concern, and I definitely understand there is a tremendous amount of confusion and lack of understanding about the 3 options. And I just don't know that the do-nothing approach, how that really truly will affect us financially and legally with our ledger and things of that nature.
Mr. Klein?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Waltz. The information that certainly we provided you before, the option essentially for do nothing would result in a couple of different things. In a sense, the additional leave that was granted during the transition from the 7-hour to the 7.5-hour day, those additional days that were adjusted upward to account for the day, the difference in the length of the day and the need to give that in order to keep the same number of days of leave. By keeping that in place and not reducing it to match essentially down to the 7-hour day, amounts to granting the equivalent of almost 12,000 days of leave at a value, and this is an accounting value and a liability that we would put on our books and report to the public, the Board of Supervisors, et cetera, of $4.6 million. That is not a cash outlay per se of $4.6 million. It has an impact depending on how it is used and not used. As an example, if all 12,000 days of leave were used, you would have a value of $4.6 million. You'd also have another over $1 million worth of substitute costs that's not associated. Typically, that total value is not going to be utilized. Some portion thereof certainly would be utilized out of it. And then again, we'd indicated that at the point at which an employee would leave the system, depending on their eligibility, they would be eligible to either have a 10%, pay it out at 10% of their annual salary, and that salary based on the salary amount at the time they leave the school division, or it could potentially be converted to sick leave under certain circumstances during a relatively short period of retirement. I can't give you an exact cash dollar amount. That's sort of the descriptive situation. If that hopefully answers the question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Mr. Wilk.
Yeah, I'll be quick. So, and Mr. Klein brought up a couple of these, the things that was brought up to me, especially with this whole discussion about the sick bank, is something I think the board probably needs to revisit in the future, is the 10% reimbursement on sick days. I personally don't think that leads to any incentive for teachers to bank sick days when you're paying them out at the end of their career 10% of a day that they actually earned and took to either retirement or when they left. Just to figure, when I left, I had accrued about $10,000 worth of sick days, and I took those at the end and was written a check for $1,000. So from a teacher standpoint, to me, I don't know anywhere in the private sector or anywhere else that does something like that with the compensation and reimbursement of teachers with their sick days. In fact, I almost think it discourages them, and if I was a teacher, I would use my sick days and costing the district double in the sick day and then the cost of the substitute teacher. So that to me is something I think the board needs to revisit on the policy of how we handle reimbursement of sick days. And then as you mentioned about the $4 million, I agree and appreciate your attempt to try to calculate that. Of course, as you said, it's almost impossible to really come up with a figure and number on that. It would be equivalent, I mean, like I said, worst case scenario, as you said, I mean, we could come up with a number and say, what would happen if on one single day, 25% of our 10,000 employees took a sick day? I mean, the cost of that would be almost devastating to a system. I mean, in a point, NASA says an asteroid is going to hit us in the future. What would happen if an asteroid hit the Kelly building? Well, that would cost some money to rebuild this place. What? Oh, okay. So, I mean, and so looking at the 4 million, that number, again, is, to me, almost like just the worst case scenario. We know it's not going to be 4 million. We know it's probably not going to be zero. It's going to be somewhere in between based off of what teachers do with those sick days. Either they use them or they don't use them, and then they get that 10% reimbursement. And then the other thing I was saying is, how are we going to go back and try to reconfigure when a teacher was taking a sick day, and during these last 5 years, was it a day that they actually earned when it was a 7-hour day, or was it a day that they actually earned when we moved to a 7.5-hour day? So that configuration and saying, okay, well, what did they use these last 5 days, these last 5 years when the adjustment happened? Was it when they had earned it as a 7-hour or a 7.5 hours? So to me, the configurations and the amount of hours that HR would have to go through to try to calculate something like that, or even just explain to the teachers when we adjust that and try to have an open discussion and dialogue about why the adjustment went that way, I personally believe and still continue to support Plan 2. And I will read this, just like Ms. Covington had to read, as a personal of interest on a matter affecting close relative of a school board member. Same policy she read. She had kids in the school system. I have a wife. Pursuant to policy 114 and regulation 114-1, conflict of interest, in Virginia's Local and State Conflict of Interest Act, and in conjunction with the school board's vote on item 15.02 pertaining to a leave adjustment for teachers, I am confirming an open session that the school board, the superintendent, and his staff, and by virtue of this declaration, the public have been informed of the fact that my wife is an employee of the school system and was so employed before my election of the school board. I confirm that this relationship will not prevent me from voting on this matter or any other matter impacting teachers impartially, fairly, objectively, and solely in the public interest, and that's signed. So that needed to be said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilk. I'm going to chime in here a little bit, and if someone wants to go after me, that's fine as well. To me, I've had several conversations about this, and it really took some time to wrap my head around it. Obviously, there's been other things that have happened with the school board this couple weeks as well, so that has certainly taken up some of my time. But, you know, to kind of reiterate what's been said already, but the reality is for me that I support this as well for the main reason that these are actions of the board that ultimately aren't the teacher's fault, aren't anyone else's fault. These are related to two separate actions of two different boards, quite frankly, not just this board and not just the previous board. Both boards taking two different actions. And as much as we look at these as a whole, the reality is they're very personal. They earn these days. They have these days. They put the work in for these days. And this school board, in my view of it, is, I guess, a little more big picture, even outside of just this policy or this amendment, not amendment, but motion, excuse me, is that we have to do everything we possibly can on this school board to make sure that our teachers and faculty and everybody feel welcome, because we simply can't keep up in salaries overnight. We're simply not going to be able to give them the benefits and the salaries and the other things that they asked for in one budget cycle, although we can work and chip away at it budget by budget and start to make it better and start to catch up to neighboring districts. The reality is we have to think outside the box, and we certainly have to be proactive in making sure that we give them every benefit we possibly can. So with that, I will wholeheartedly endorse this motion. Anyone else? I will call the vote. I'm sorry, Ms. Satterwhite. I apologize. I didn't see your hand up. Ms. Satterwhite.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyers. I'm one of the more fiscally conservative members of this board, and yes, we're talking about approximately $4.6 million that may or may not totally go out. And this is a hard decision. There's nothing easy about this. And as I wrote to a few people that I was able to get the letters out to, this was a board decision. This was not any fault of our staff members. The school board needs to own this. it was very confusing. I myself had questions about, how are we going to do this and make this right? And overwhelmingly, the emails from teachers are saying, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Overwhelmingly. And we're getting emails from community members saying, please don't do this. We're hearing from teachers who are expecting babies. We're hearing from teachers with long-term illnesses who are saying, I need my leave. I need every bit of my leave. I've banked it because I planned for it, or I need it because I'm sick. I've got to use my leave. And if we end up taking away, if we did the motion with taking away the 7% prior to 2012, we're still taking away leave that people had planned on. Our staff members didn't plan on the school board changing their mind. And this is no fault of any of our staff members that this chaos has been caused. And so after much thought, after agonizing over this, I really don't see any option but for the school board to own this and to take responsibility for this. And I will support this motion.
Thank you, Ms. Satterwhite. Anyone else? I will call the vote. Those in favor of the motion, please signify yes by raising your right hand. Thank you.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous. Motion passed.
Superintendent's time. Dr. Waltz.
Thank you, Chairman Sawyers and members of the board. A number of things to report tonight. First of all, I would like to say that we're going to be starting the budget conversations when we get back from the holidays. And as part of that budget conversation, there will be something a little bit different this year, and that will be I will be submitting some information as required by the school board in terms of the goals that they established for me unanimously last spring. In particular, I'm going to share one goal: provide a comprehensive assessment of the school division's efforts to reduce class sizes and develop an expedited, specific 5-year plan with numerical goals and recommendations for appropriate class sizes at the different grade levels, identifying the resources needed to reach those goals, financial and otherwise. Otherwise includes the building space. The plan should also address special education caseloads, alternative education programs, and the effect on and/or availability of technological resources relative to such plan. The plan should be submitted to the school board by November 1st, 2016. The school board has received the initial information, including a budgetary outlay. In addition to that, we've had a lot of discussion around closing the achievement gap. So there will also be, in addition to this supplement to the budget, there will also be a supplementary item on some potential ideas in terms of training and personnel to close the achievement gap, starting with an acting director for school improvement. So just know that those things are coming, and again, these are things that are required in my goals by the school board. And so I will be presenting a budget that comes in at the mark given and established by our Board of Supervisors. In addition to that, I will be submitting the required information as requested by our school board last May for its consideration and potential action. So, moving right along, as many of you in western Prince William County are aware, there was a major water main break that affected a number of schools, and this was a first in terms of it being many, many schools and thousands of people affected. We were able to keep schools open thanks to the tremendous team efforts of our facility services, food services, media and communication services, and the staff in those schools. This was a totally new type of situation, at least in its scope and scale for us. We have never gone to Walmart and bought 12,000 bottles of water before. But it did work, and my thanks and appreciation to everyone who helped make that work. Our third annual Parents Summit will be held on Saturday, January 7th at Hilton High School from 8 to 11:30 a.m. This is a free event for parents and guardians of 8th graders and high school students.
Please register in advance so we can be sure to have space. Go to the high school websites to be directed to the Parent Summit information on the college and career webpage. And as a parent of an 8th grader, I will see you there. And also, I hope to learn a lot. And also knowing that this has gained in popularity since it began just a few years back, we will be expanding it next year to have 2 locations on 2 different dates. So we're excited about that. I received a congratulatory letter directly from the Virginia Superintendent of Public Instruction, and I want to read the letter to you. It's very short, but powerful. I am writing to congratulate Prince William County Public Schools for exceeding Virginia's on-time graduation rate for English learners by nearly 10 percentage points for the 2016-2017 accountability year. The Virginia Department of Education values your division's exemplary accomplishments and expertise. Your ongoing dedication to the academic success of English learners throughout your school division is greatly appreciated. I extend my best wishes for your continued success in the 2016-17 school year. Sincerely signed, Dr. Stephen R. Staples, Superintendent of Public Instruction, with his handwritten "well done" on there. So when it comes to closing the gap, this is something we've actually made some very powerful progress, and it's nice to hear from our state school superintendent recognizing that. And again, I want to thank everyone who's involved, starting with Mrs. Janine Sadki, Director of English Learner Programs and Services, the administrators, and the English learner teachers in our schools. Thank you so much. Last Thursday, December 8th, Forest Park High School students were at Carrydale Elementary to donate computers to 30 families and provide training to those families. This was the 3rd event in a month in which our high school students provided computers to families through our Virginia Star Computer Refurbishment Program. Since 2010, the VA Star Program, which began at Forest Park High School, has refurbished and donated over 11,000 computers. The students who work on the computers gain valuable technology skills that can lead to industry certification and employment. Stonewall and Benton Middle Schools have student teams competing in the Cyber Patriot qualifying round of competition this week. We all wish them good luck. And on the subject of computers, let me go back and just mention that Dally Computers offers a discount to Prince William County School employees on computers and other technologies. Employees may learn more on our staff intranet. Robotics competitions are in full swing. Woodbridge High School recently hosted the largest VEX tournament in the history of the state of Virginia. 50 middle school teams and 50 high school teams battled for spots to the VEX State Tournament in February. Congratulations to Benton Middle School Team 1231G and Woodbridge High School Team 1575D on winning the Excellence Award, the highest award of a VEX tournament. And at the elementary school level of robotics, congratulations to Rockledge Elementary's teams, Electro Eagles Black, which won the Judges Award at the first LEGO League State Tournament. Beginning on January 9th and running through the 27th, the annual division-wide survey will be administered to all staff and the parents and students in grades 3 through 12. The different survey forms are tailored for each different stakeholder group. Your feedback is very important to us, so I encourage everyone to participate in the survey. In closing, as the winter break nears, I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful and safe holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Chinese New Year, Happy New Year, whatever you celebrate, I'm all with you, so enjoy.
Thank you, Dr. Waltz. We are moving right along here. We are on 1701, revision of policy 542. Mr. Johnson.
Chairman Sawyers, school board members, Dr. Waltz, good evening. Policy 542, compensated leave, has been updated and retitled compensated leave and reemployment following military service. Therefore, this policy is being submitted for first reading. The new updates include language concerning compensation, reemployment of employees and officers of the school board following military duty as provided by the state and federal law. Legal references have been updated as well.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board on the first reading? Thank you. Special Education Advisory Committee appointment, Mr. Brand.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to recommend that the Prince William County School Board approve the appointment of Sarah Matthews to represent the Brentsville District on the Special Education Advisory Council for committee for a 2-year term.
Thank you. I will second that. Mr. Brand, discussion.
A little bit about Sarah. Sarah is a resident of Nokesville who is a Bristow-run parent. She's also the mother of 3, including twins, a boy and a girl. So she has her hands full, so I appreciate her taking on this opportunity to represent the Brentsville District on the Special Education Advisory Committee, and I would highly recommend her for this position. I look forward to hearing what she gets out of the committee in the new year.
Thank you, Mr. Brand. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify yes by raising your right hand. Thank you.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
And last but not least, Inauguration Day, January 20, 2017, Mr. Brand.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, I'd like to thank the board for adding this item to the agenda tonight. I would like to recommend that the Prince William County School Board, I'm gonna, read what I gave to you earlier, take action on changing Friday, January 20th, 2017 from a regular school day in Prince William County Schools to a day off for all staff in honor of the inauguration of the 45th President of the United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Brand. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Mr. Deutsch, thank you. Mr. Brand, discussion.
I don't want to duplicate the words I said earlier, but I think one of the big reasons for this is just to let our families know, let our parents know that if we were to vote on this and approve this, to give them plenty of time to consider the implications if it does affect childcare or some of those other issues, definitely to give our parents plenty of notice. If we had waited until January, I think that would have been a little too rushed for many of our families. So I'm glad we can to make a decision on this now.
Thank you, Mr. Brand. I'll jump in here. I do intend on supporting this motion. I just want to make a few points, and some of it, honestly, is kind of a lesson learned from when kind of the law and unintended consequences, I guess, when we closed for primary day, when we had some snow days to spend on primary day last year. So we decided to close on primary day, which again, I voted for. But the thing that I learned from that is, it obviously impacts people differently than what I was completely prepared for. And I don't want to say I was totally unprepared, but this obviously does impact some of our poorer families, some that can't find access to daycare, that weren't planning on taking this day off, or taking the choice to not go to work in order to not have to pay for daycare, which obviously is the same net effect of losing that money. So I guess I will just say this. I've also actually went out of my way to talk to some business owner friends to see what they thought about it. Some of them are restaurant owners and were excited to have people to use a snow day and not and have kids in their restaurant on a day they normally wouldn't be there. Others thought it would hurt their workforce. It all kind of depended on their business, and parents would have a hard time finding daycare and those types of things. So I certainly think the intention of this motion is good. I don't think it necessarily wants those things to happen, but it is part of. It is part of, I guess, the unintended consequences or a byproduct of doing something like this. The thing that agreeing with you, Mr. Brand, 100% on that we should give our parents as much notice as possible, and I'm glad this is on for action today. That time was actually almost exactly 1 year ago when the previous school board passed this school agenda. Inauguration Day was not a surprise. We knew it was going to be January 20th of 2017. In fact, I through my crystal ball can tell you that the next one will be January 20th of 2021. So I can that's they happen to come every 4 years. So I think that ultimately, I wish this would have been done then. I wish it was discussed, but it was discussed and it was an option by the previous board. I know Dr. Casada's not here, but I know we're voting on these calendars earlier, so I want someone to put this in their brain for 2019. This needs to make your calendar, Dr. Waltz, put it in your iPhone, is that I would fully support doing this again for the 2020-2021 school year if that does come before us, before we leave office, but we need to make sure, I think it should be done ahead of time, a year ahead of time, or more than a year ahead of time, as opposed to 1 month ahead of time, because we do know that inauguration day is coming on that day. So I think we should be more prepared for it than making these motions 1 month out. So, thank you, Ms. Satterwhite.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree, Mr. Chairman, that yes, this should have been done last year. And as one of the board members who was on the board last year, I missed it. I talked to Dr. Waltz about it. He said they went back and they looked at the tape, and yes, it was mentioned, and somehow I missed it in the discussion. I went back and I looked at the paperwork that we had for that meeting, and it wasn't in the paperwork, and that's how I prep. That's what prepares me. And the reason this is an issue is because we have a history with the school board. Back in 2008, in President Obama's first inauguration, there was concern that we weren't going to have enough teachers or subs to take care of our students in that day. And so that school board at that time voted to have inauguration day a day off. And they also put in place, and I tried to find it and I couldn't find it, they put something in place saying that inauguration day from there on would be a day off from school. Well, the last inauguration fell on a Saturday, as I was told, because I didn't take the time to look it up, and so it wasn't an issue. And then, as we know now, last board, we missed it. And so, like you said, Mr. Chairman, yes, we do need to make some notes to make sure that in 2019 we don't miss it this time and we plan ahead. But because citizens brought this up, because citizens said, hey, look, you've done this in the past, you need to do this again, that's why we're here. And we need to give our parents time. We need to give our staff members time. A staff member said, hey, look, we're trying to plan something. We were talking about that day. Is that going to be a day off or not? I said, stay tuned. And we do have a lot of families who do go into Washington for this day. We have a lot of families who want to stay home and watch. So I could go either way personally, but because constituents have brought it forward, because a former school board said, yes, we will have this as a day off, I would support having this as a holiday.
Thank you, Ms. Satterwhite. Dr. Waltz.
Just a little bit of clarification. So, as you recall, we have a calendar committee, and the committee brings forth a recommendation. So it was the committee that did not recommend it, although it was mentioned at that board meeting. That being stated, I just want to tell you how I will be handling some things. So in the event that you want something different, you would let me know now. We have, to the best of our knowledge as of today, approximately 46 major activities scheduled on that day that involve team sports, competitions, and all kinds of other activities. So what I'm sharing with you now is what I go through every single time we have a weather call and we look ahead at everything that's going on. What I try to do is let the people the closest to those events kind of tell me, is this something that you really, really, really want to continue even though we've closed the school division? And if they're, if it's something to do with VHSL and they're unwilling to reschedule, I'm not saying they would or wouldn't, but there's some things that can't be controlled internally. So what I generally do is work with our team here in Prince William and try to give them maximum flexibility to those kinds of things, as opposed to just saying, no, the board decided we're closed, so all those things are canceled. So unless I hear something different than from you tonight, I'll be working in that same manner with our staff and the activities that are scheduled. And I guarantee you, if you close, some of those will go away because they'll just decide, because there's not school, but there may be some activities that people want to continue, and I'll make an exception for those unless directed otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Waltz. Ms. Jessie.
I think we do need to plan in advance, and if inauguration day is going to be a day that we take off, we close school, then it shouldn't just be for the next election, but for all of them, and plan in advance. I think the calendar committee also needs to look at once we make that decision, to look at the months of November and the months of December, because there are so many days that kids are out of school, students are out, because you have Thanksgiving holiday, there were teacher work days, parent conference time, I think. Then you go into December and they're off in December. Then you go into January and they're off on. So I think the number of days that students are in school is something that we really need to consider. But if Inauguration Day is going to be something that we're going to do this year, I just think it needs to be something that we just do and not have to vote on it.
Thank you, Ms. Jessie. I'd like to make a point, too, and I forgot to mention this in my comments earlier. I ran a very informal, non-scientific, I want to stress that, non-scientific survey of my own. And the responses, the first and second were essentially tied. I think in first place by a little bit was close and use a snow day, so to speak. Second place was don't close at all. And then a very, very distant third was close and swap it out with President's Day, like what was done in the original Ms. Covington's motion back in 2008. Obviously, just like with Ms. Covington's motion from a procedural perspective, you can't tie the hands of a future board. And so ultimately what this really comes down to is just getting it done in the calendar process. And so that's ultimately the biggest part that we can see it done is just getting it done through that calendar process. So if the 2020, 2021 schedule does come before us, we definitely need to remember that. Any further discussion? Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am going to support this only because it is an established policy that was done by a prior board, and I do believe that we should honor it. But I'm wondering, Dr. Waltz, if there was something that we could do, maybe moving forward for those families and those parents, maybe if we had a inauguration watch day or something so that we could provide something for those families. And I bring this up in the sense because I remember in 2008, I had a house full of children simply because I knew people who could not get off work or did not have daycare or did not plan to feed kids and did not have the necessary supplies and resources to do that. And I know people say, well, it's just one day. But as Mr. Sawyers pointed out earlier, one day, if you don't have leave, if you didn't grocery shop to plan to feed kids 5 days and you only plan for 4 days, that is a very, very big deal. So it is a tremendous last-minute notice for a lot of those families. So I'm just wondering if moving forward, if we're going to continue to have off Inauguration Day, if maybe we can put our resources together and do something to help support some of those families that are not able to do so themselves. Because that, I mean, it only comes once every 4 years, and to those of us who are able to enjoy privilege, it's not a big deal, but for a lot of our families, it's a huge deal. So I'm going to support this, but I just would like to keep that in mind and echo what was said before. It was brought up during the calendar committee time, and we did talk about it prior to voting on the calendar. So I just want us to be considerate of people and last-minute plans moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Any further discussion? Mr. Wilk.
Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss if I did not mention my non-scientific Twitter poll where, to no surprise, 80% of Prince William County students and 1,250 voted to not have school on Inauguration Day. I just want to add that to the evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Wilk. Further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify yes by raising your right hand. Thank you. When you guys hide on me, I can't see you. I see that hand. We can, that's just a typo. We can change. I think the intent of the board is very clear.
The vote is 8 yes, unanimous, motion passed.
Thank you. I'd just like to point out, and that's a fair thank you, Ms. Urban. I copy and pasted, Mr. Brand, I copy and pasted it from your original, put it on the agenda, and it says that the Prince William County considered changing. I think it's very clear that we changed it, so I copy and pasted the language and changed it. So I don't think you'll have a problem with this, but blame it on me if something goes wrong. So I'm sure we'll get it right. We'll start now with board matters. I'm going to start to my left. Ms. Ralston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today was a very special day. I had an opportunity to go to Bevel Middle School. And what they're working on is getting in about 400 laptops is what they need for the program. And I have this for Mr. Bixby. So I have everything that they need to get started with their computers and laptops. Also, I should have said to Garfield that, and I opened it up and it had, the insignia and everything. Maybe I can be a coach now. 'Cause so I need to. Yes, the soup. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. But I wish. Thank you, Mr. Wilkes. I just wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and hope that you get plenty of rest and don't eat too much, but play with the kids because it is a lot of fun. I may have to come to your house, Miss Williams, because you have little people. So thank you very much for this, which is almost our first year for a lot of us on this board. I think we've come a long ways. We've experienced some of everything that's possible, I do believe now. So I look forward to next year and everything just runs smoothly. Thank you.
Mr. Brand.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Jesse? First of all, I feel like singing tonight because I will tell you, I really enjoyed all the extra music we had tonight. So thank you to all of our performers. I thought about singing Board Matters tonight. I will hold off. I do have an excellent voice. I will not share it with you on this evening. But maybe sometime in the future, I will bless you with that. I do want to thank, again, the Nokesville Christmas Parade for inviting me to take part last weekend. I had a great time. The town of Nokesville definitely reminds me a lot of those small towns where I grew up in the northern neck of Virginia, so it's always definitely a pleasure to go there. Speaking of music, I will have the pleasure, as with my dad had, to attend the Winter Chorus Concert at Gainesville Middle School tomorrow night to hear my daughter Sophia and many other talented young people. So I'm looking forward to that, and kudos to Ms. Glom, who calls herself Glom the Bomb, for the great job she's doing with her chorus students there. I do want to give a shout out to the Garfield Drumline. As a proud George Mason University graduate who has attended many college basketball games at George Mason, go Patriots. Doc Nix over there does an incredible job with his pep band, and if those talented folks tonight ever want to go over to George Mason and play some drums there, I would definitely support that. Mr. Chairman, looking ahead to our first school board meeting agenda in the new year, I would like to add an action item to that agenda on January 4th, 2017. I would like to add an action item on the Prince William County Board of Supervisors $21 million plus resolution for our schools to the next meeting agenda, please. So please add that to the January 4th, 2017 agenda.
Ms. Urban, you can put it on the agenda planning session, the item that he just mentioned, and we'll talk about it at our agenda meeting.
Is still me?
No, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I was waiting on you.
Right.
I didn't know if you had more.
Oh, okay. All right, just a little bit more. Definitely, and if you have any extra time over this holiday season, and I know that's difficult for many to find, this former English teacher recommends that you take some time to read or reread O. Henry's classic Christmas story, The Gift of the Magi. The story of Jim and Delia, who gave up their most valuable possessions for each other, unbeknownst to each other. It's one of my favorite ironic stories and favorite Christmas stories. In fact, I hope it is the theme of this board in the new year, that despite our differences, that we are willing to sacrifice for each other and do what's in the best interest of all children in Prince William County schools. That's my goal, and I believe and I hope that is the goal of the others on this board as well. I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brand. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to thank the Garfield Drum Line for coming and performing. It was like an early Christmas gift to me. I didn't know I had been waiting all this time to hear go-go music from a band in our high schools, but let me just tell you that that's my happy thought moving forward. So thank you very much. And to the young men, I would encourage you to learn a little bit more, because I am that nerd, and I love reading, and being smart and learning awesome things is amazing. To do some discovery about where the go-go beat comes from and why it is so awesome and amazing for us here in this area. So a little bit of fun learning. Maybe your math teacher or someone will give you a little extra credit. I don't know, but I got your back for it. And other news, I just would like to encourage everyone to have a safe and happy holidays. I know that we all celebrate in different ways, and maybe take some time out and learn about a different celebration than one that is traditional to your house. I know in my house, Miss Diane, you are very welcome, because I have the house that intakes everyone. Usually we have people who don't have family and all kinds of little kids, and everyone come on by on Christmas, so you are more than welcome. There's plenty of people of all sizes and colors hanging out. We even have some four-legged friends too. So with that, I just would like to encourage everyone, as I always do, while you're out on Christmas break, pick up a book, pick up a newspaper article, comic book, something, read a little bit. A little bit of reading goes a long way. Knowledge is fundamental. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Jessie.
I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and that I hope we get some rest during that period of time. It's not that I don't like board meetings, but I would enjoy not being at them during the holiday break, and after January, I'll try again. On a more serious note, I had an opportunity to attend the town hall meeting in Woodbridge, and it was a discussion of not the money issue, it was a discussion of where do we go from here, and I had to reflect on some of the things that we've been discussing. A couple of site visits that I think were important. One, I went to Bailey's Crossroads and I looked at this building that was a retail building apparently, and they bought this building and they were able to create a beautiful facility for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And on the 19th, I think it is, I hope we can go to Baldwin and look at that facility, because it's on small acreage. And I think as we look at our problems down the road, we really do need to look at different ways and start thinking outside of the box if we want to take care of the situation on the east, because we have a land problem over there, and we have a development where developments are being placed, approved. And our priority really has to be to get all of these kids out of trailers. And when I went to Roanoke, and Ms. Goss and Ms. Jarson Hart went with me, along with Diane, Ms. Ralston. And one of she had a graphic that I really would like to share with everyone, and I have copies that I'd like to just pass to each board member. And I think it's in the do you have it in? Yes. And I think this picture says everything. That when we start looking at equality is one thing. It means you just make everything equal. Equity, on the other hand, says that there are some situations that we need to look at and prioritize. So I would like for us, as we look at the holiday season and the next year, upcoming school year, I'd like Dr. Waltz and his staff to look at small parcels of land and to perhaps engage some architects in designing, giving us some ideas of how we can build on the land. We're not going to get any more land. And I think the Board of Supervisors are going to probably continue to vote for redevelopment. I know we send a letter every year and they say, yeah, thank you, and they build townhouses and they build all these things. But as we approach the next year, and I talked to Mr. Klein about it a little bit, that we seriously need to look at different ways, looking outside of the box, and I'd like to discuss that with you a little bit in more detail, because we cannot continue assuming that someone's going to give us the land or we're going to find 15 acres of land. We're not going to find that. but I think we really can look at different ways. And I think I was meeting with a friend, and they talked about urban schools and architects who design for urban schools. I love Mosley Architect, and I know they are willing to work with us, but we really need to think about perhaps looking at other ways of dealing with the situation, because it's not going to go anywhere. And on a positive note, Occoquan Elementary, tomorrow morning at 9:30, we're celebrating. And we always, the research says it's not really about class size, but this is an overcrowded school that has a 94% pass rate in math, the highest math scores in this county, with low-income kids, minority kids, and they've been able to do this. So we want to work with the overcrowding, but we also need to realize that it's really, at the end of the day, it's about good instruction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jessie. Ms. Satterwhite.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had some phenomenal music tonight. Forest Park High School Show Choir and the drum line from Garfield High School. It was an absolute treat tonight, so thank you to those groups. That was fabulous. I want to thank Mr. Ferreira and staff from Battlefield High School for being here tonight. It was a pleasure to see them again, and thank you for their presentation and for all the hard work that they do for our students. I also want to thank Kimberly, our student, our senior, who was here to talk tonight, and congratulate her for the hard work that's led to 22 hours so far of dual enrollment credit that she's accumulated, and she's still going. I had the pleasure of attending Santa Cop this past Saturday. There are two held each year, and this is the one that was held in Manassas. I want to thank the Fraternal Order of Police, Sharon Henry, Walmart, Hard Times Cafe, and all of the many officers from all of the different jurisdictions. Manassas City, I think we have Manassas Park, we had the Sheriff's Department, Prince William County Police Department, our Chief of Police was there. All kinds of, every department you can name where we had officers there, we had people represented. And they pick up the kids at their home at 6:45 in the morning. They bring them to Walmart. They have a certain amount they can shop with. And they make sure the kids have a coat. They make sure they have shoes if they need it. The kids are able to shop for Christmas presents for themselves. They shop for a cousin or a sister or a brother or mom and dad. And it is an amazing sight to see. And after that, they hop back in the police cars with the lights flashing, the long line, and they drive to Hard Times Cafe where they get a hot breakfast served. And we had volunteers from Osborne Park High School and from Manassas City Public Schools, and also one teacher from Prince William County Schools who were wrapping the presents for everybody. And this is one of my favorite events each year. I want to thank everybody for their participation. One particular child, I remember her saying, and we get to go to a restaurant and have breakfast. And it's something so many of us take for granted. And she was so excited about the opportunity. And Hard Times Cafe isn't a place that normally serves breakfast, but I can tell you the breakfast they put on was absolutely delicious, and the kids enjoyed it. So want to thank, many thanks to Sharon Henry for all of her work in organizing this event, for finding the children that needed this from our Prince William County schools and Manassas City, Manassas Park area schools, and this is a fabulous, fabulous event each year. I had the pleasure of attending the Battlefield High School Student Council Association first ever convention, and it was a pleasure to be their keynote speaker. And on behalf of Andrew Boyd, one of their officers, he's asked that I share something with them. They are working on a fundraising project. And he has said, good evening, members of the board. The Student Council Association of Battlefield High School is currently working to break the cycle of poverty in which disadvantaged students throughout the nation are trapped. Last year, we raised over $1,000 for the Detroit Public Schools Foundation. This year, we were looking to unite the schools of Prince William County in order to generate a greater amount of funding for the Native American Heritage Association. Our mission is to assist the disadvantaged Native American students of the Dakotas on their academic journey. We need your help effectively communicating this message and unifying the schools of Prince William County. So that is from Andrew Boyd, one of the officers of the Battlefield Student Council Association, and he is particularly interested in working with other high school service groups or SCAs around the county. And school board members, if any of you are interested in this for your areas and joining in this effort, anybody who's interested in this at all, please, you can contact me through my Prince William County Schools email address or contact me through my Friends of Allison Satterwhite Facebook page, and I will put you in touch with Mr. Boyd and the Battlefield High School SCA for their fundraising efforts for the Native American Heritage Association. And so I told him I would be sharing that. I also want to address the BOCS resolution of the possible gift of $21.2 million in construction money. And I support what Mr. Brand said, asking for that to be added to action for the January 4th meeting. And Mr. Chairman, Ms. Vice Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, I hope that you will consider adding that to the agenda. I think it's very important that we at least have the discussion. This is a binding resolution by the BWCS. If the school board were to agree, if the BWCS were to back out, I would be one of the first to cry foul. But this is something that if the BWCS isn't forcing us to do anything, there's no law breaking here. If the Board of County Supervisors and the school board agree, then we're doing some really great things for students, for adding capacity for our buildings in Prince William County. And so I'd like for us at least to be able to have the discussion, and I hope we're able to do that, and then I hope we're able to bring it to a vote at our January 4th meeting. I want to also remind everybody that our wonderful chorus, orchestra, and band programs are still going on throughout the county right now. Tomorrow night, we have in Gainesville District, we have the Singing Sunrays at Alvey. We have Bull Run Middle School 7th and 8th grade orchestra. We have the Stonewall Middle School Orchestra 7th and 8th grade, and we have the different chorus groups from Battlefield High School. So all of those groups will have performances at their schools tomorrow night. So please check your school's webpage, and hope you'll enjoy the groups. And these continue next week, Monday night. I know Bull Run Middle School also has a chorus event. And we have all this interesting weather that's also happening, so please check Prince William County Schools TV, Prince William County Schools Facebook and Twitter for any announcements if you are in doubt. And I want to wish everybody happy holidays and a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ms. Satterwhite. Mr. Deutsch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we head into the holiday season, last couple of weeks I got to attend a lot of fun events. Osborne Park did a joint concert with Patriot and I believe Brentsville at the Hilton Performing Arts Center of Handel's Messiah. It was a gorgeous performance. They had over 100 members in their choir, and I think probably about 30, 40 members in their orchestra. A combined performance between all the schools, and some people had encouraged me to go, saying the year before rivaled Kennedy Center, and it was definitely an impressive event. A strong community event where a lot of people got to sing together and just really kick off the Christmas season. So everybody should definitely come next year if you can. I also got to tour Hilton High School, see a lot of the exciting things that they're doing there with their cabin sheet program, their automobile program, some of the new rooms that they've built out and expanded for their gym and athletics. And also they just finished restoring the television production section after the flooding they had over the end of the summer. And they're really excited to get that back online, and we're beginning to make more films again, and it was a really, really exciting time with them there. Also, another shout out, and I don't know that we can have enough shout outs, to Ellen Sechrist with Benton Middle School. A number of us got to attend the award ceremony or the official presentation at the kickoff of Benton Middle School, where she was recognized. And I'll just say at the last board meeting, my jaw dropped as I listened to the work that she was doing. To have a middle schooler saying that she had figured out a mathematical degree that engineers hadn't settled on yet is pretty darn impressive, and she can probably get into any college she wants. She might even have her master's application finished by now, too. She's a pretty impressive kid. Also got to help out with Pennington Traditional School was doing getting ready for their oratorical contest about the Constitution. Their We the People competition, got to help judge, give feedback, and honestly some very impressive middle schoolers there with the depth of knowledge that they had, historical examples, understanding of different facets that are in play in the different items related to the Constitution they were analyzing. And this last Saturday, they pulled second place at the regional contest in Williamsburg. And they're also excited about going to the state competition coming up. So a bunch of really good things happening there. Got to tour Pennington, and they are definitely doing a lot of good things there. They're at that school in a creative space, shall we say, as they have 8 grades all together. So a lot of good things going on, and looking forward to the holiday season. I guess you know, there's been a lot of chatter about the whole PWCS resolution. I'm more concerned right now about what we've done to ourselves as a board in terms of policies and how we add things to the agenda. Back in October, there was an amendment to how we put things on the agenda. And for people in the public who think that it's a nerdy item, to an extent it is, but it also impacts the ability of board members to bring forward things that directly impact their constituents and our ability to bring up things that, in order to represent the needs of our constituents. And what happened in that vote, and what has been clear now in practice with 2 items that Mr. Brand brought forward to put on the agenda, is that the chairman and vice chairman now have veto power over things being put on the agenda. Something as simple as addressing inauguration, something we passed unanimously, was submitted by Mr. Brand in the same time frame that I've had things added to the agenda before. But because of the way that the policy was changed, we had to now address it now because at the time they didn't want to add it to the agenda. And then we deal with a more important item, like possibly $21 million to address overcrowding across the county. We saw a request made even earlier by Mr. Brand of a desire to be able to address it at this meeting immediately following the board vote, and that was denied. We just saw Mr. Brand request that it be added to the next agenda, and instead of normal practice where there is an agreement to put it on the next agenda, the chairman just stated that he would address it at the next planning meeting. Sadly, I'm not quite as hopeful that we'll actually see it on the next agenda, so we'll have to see what happens there. But this restriction of board members to address what's going on, to bring things forward, I predicted back in October it would have negative impacts, and it will have negative impacts as people are hurt. I think that, you know, as we look to work together with the Board of Supervisors, I think that it's important for us as individuals to be able to negotiate in good faith with other board members, regardless of party and region, and to the members of the Board of Supervisors who are able to do that, thank you for being able to put issues ahead of partisanship. And I think that we have to continue to be able to do that. But when we have something like this, we should at least have a vote on it. To be denied a vote is pretty egregious. And I hope that we'll be able to vote on this soon and really begin to work on moving forward on addressing overcrowding across the county. And I think that if we can move forward on this item, I think there's a lot, much bigger things that we could even push for in the future as we begin to build goodwill between both boards and address something that the whole community knows is a critical issue. So looking forward to getting that done.
Thank you, Mr. Deutsch. Mr. Wook.
Okay, couple things, Miss Jessie. This picture, I was thinking I was at a breakout session in Kentucky with the superintendent of Trigg County, Little County, probably like where Chairman Sawyers grew up. But they're doing a lot of cool things. Ms. Williams, kind of like your whole idea of breaking down walls and stuff. They're doing that personalized learning thing, even in a little county in Kentucky. And what they did was they had this same picture on their presentation, but they had a third one where it was a fence where, I don't know, where all kids could see everything that's going on in the field. So it's kind of different. I've never seen it like that before. So that was kind of a cool thing. I do, on a serious note, want to recognize, I was trying to buzz in with Garfield, but I was over here on the corner with Dr. Waltz and I.
Leave him here.
Yeah. But I do want to recognize, as someone who did teach probably a couple hundred kids who ended up going through Garfield High School, there is a major difference between like graduation rates and college readiness. And as someone who personally knows many of the students who did go through Garfield, I can say I'm very proud of the education that they received. I don't know any of them that did not go either into a NOVA or a four-year university, or of course I'm a big supporter of CTE or got a trade or a skill in learning those adaptions there. So I want to recognize Garfield for that. A couple events that I went to, just want to recognize Forest Park for the 14th annual Breakfast with Santa. Although Dominic and Jack were not having any of Santa this year, we did our best. We got in there and got out, took our photo and said hi and bye because they did not want Santa. I also enjoyed that same day going and walking in the town of Dumfries Christmas Parade. That was a cool event. First time doing that. Nice. I went to Henderson Elementary's Holiday Choir and Strings Concert. Big shout out to that. Great event. Packed place. Same thing for when Potomac Middle School had their string concert. Full house again. Standing room only. Good event. I did go back to Grand Park and play bingo, and that was fun. So back to Grand Park, their bingo night. And then on Friday, I'll be taking my day off at work from my other job. And I'll be going to Forest Park, Patty, Ashland, and Williams, stopping in and visiting and saying hello. So I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and thank you and good night.
One more. I got one more. Sorry, Mr. Ralston. Sorry. I just want to briefly, obviously, touch on the subject that everybody else is talking about, which is the BOCS resolution, which we received an official copy of yesterday, just for the record. So everyone can talk about when it was passed and when it was done this and when it was done that. We ultimately received an official copy of the resolution yesterday. So ultimately, to put something on that you officially receive about 36 hours before you either want to talk about it or vote on it. There's a reason we have a 9-day policy in this school system. It's not only because this is a part-time job, although it doesn't feel like it sometimes. This is a part-time job that we all do, and we need time to review materials. The public needs time to review materials for it to be on the public agenda so they can add their input into the discussion in an official manner, not rumors and making them watch an hour of debate from the BOCS, but the actual resolution itself that was filled with words like subject to appropriation and consider when it comes to the funding. So it obviously is not an appropriation to the school board. It is clearly, a political grenade in some ways that they threw. And here's why I'll say that. This board put in some time a while back, as you heard from the superintendent, to take the biggest swing this school board has ever taken at class size reduction and closing the achievement gap. That's the biggest news of the day. And why there's different constitutional authorities between the school board and the BOCS. To make it very clear, the school board, and this is true for all school boards across the state of Virginia, the school board is not a subordinate board to the Board of County Supervisors. They have distinct constitutional authorities, and we have distinct constitutional authorities, right? We can certainly work together, and we can give them our opinion on roads and other things that they might be considering, but ultimately we don't get a vote on those things, right? And they can give us their opinion on schools and where we build them, but ultimately they don't get a vote on those things. We do, and that's why the courts have ruled over and over again, and the Virginia Constitution and Virginia law gives the school boards across this state distinct authority separate from the Board of County Supervisors for this exact reason, because it's the height of fiscal irresponsibility, as Marty Noe pointed out, right? To paraphrase Mr. Noe, Supervisor Noe, that you don't vote on $20 million with 20 minutes notice, right? And that they threw it together and they did it in a way that is disruptive to the conversation that we're already having. We had a joint meeting scheduled for December 8th, a date that Chairman Stewart confirmed with me and Vice Chair Jesse, and then we later found out that only 3 supervisors would attend that date. So in all fairness to the school board, which doesn't get out there, is that we would have already had that discussion on December 8th had the majority of the Board of County Supervisors agreed to attend as we originally scheduled. We had to move that date to January 10th, 6 p.m. here in the KLC. Please attend, right? And I believe all members of both boards will be there to have this discussion. That's how the process goes. We had a citizen say earlier that we have to ask first. We do. We do ask first. We ask first through the budget process. They don't tell us what to ask for, and then we just ask for it back, right? It's not an echo chamber. That's not how the Virginia Constitution is set up. They don't get to yell into the Grand Canyon and have it bounce back at them and say, okay, we'll vote for that, right? That's not how it works. We provide them the guidance that we think the school system needs, and as the Virginia courts have ruled and the Virginia Supreme Court has ruled to a great degree over and over and over again, even reading a case law back to the 1940s. I want to make the point again. This school board has taken a gigantic swing. And Superintendent Waltz, we have put a lot on your plate with the additional challenge to help reduce the overcrowding issue, help reduce the achievement gap, and above and beyond the budget ask that we're going to have coming this year. It is going to take a heck of a lot more than $2 million a year after we were already shorted $7 million in the budget process, mind you. So it's going to take a heck of a lot more, than $2 million to ultimately take our county school system out of having 211 trailers. To make a point, all trailers are trailers. As the countywide elected official, all students are students for me. A high school student and an elementary school student are equal, and I believe they are for the rest of the board, but I mean even just from representing the whole county. There are 48 elementary school trailers in the Woodbridge district. 48. There's not that many high school trailers in the entire county. 48 elementary school trailers in the Woodbridge district. So yes, there are problems localized. There are two elementary school trailers between the Brentsville and Gainesville districts combined. So yes, they certainly have their trailers at the high school level, but the reality is that this school board will determine how we best want to use money appropriated to us. And I will pledge to you that any dollar, Dr. Waltz, any dollar the Board of County Supervisors wants to send our way, and even if they want to appropriate it by any of the 9 categories that state law allows them to do, I will take it with a smile on my face. But ultimately, this board, these 8 elected officials with our constitutional authority will decide how money is best spent in our school district. And we should take that responsibility very seriously, and we should defend it whenever it is challenged. With that, and no further business before this board, this meeting is adjourned.